Hello everyone, and welcome to the third episode of OpenTalk. I guess this is a regular thing now, so hopefully you guys could hear me and see me. We'll explain why that's very important in a bit, because things have changed since the last stream. So let me know in the chat if the audio sounds good, if the video is clear, and we'll be adding in our very special guest in a moment here. But just doing a double check there, make sure I got all my wires plugged in, all my settings set up, and audio and video are good. Excellent. All right. So today, as you could probably tell by the title and our spamming on social media, we're going to talk about some Macintosh clones or Macintosh conversion kits and things of the like. So without further ado, let me introduce our guest, who's been the only guest so far, but he's been very patient with us. So let me introduce our good friend James, and he'll be doing some speaking, and we'll just make sure that his audio works. If it doesn't, let us know in the chat. But without further ado, here's our good friend James. Hello, James. Welcome to the show.
Hello again. Hey. Hello again. Thanks for having me on again.
Of course. It seems
I hope you're not bored of me.
No. I swear there are going to be other guests, but James is very persistent of like, hey, let's do this, and I'm like, okay, so I can't say no.
I'm just up for it.
Yes.
And there's loads of crap in this room, and it's fun to share. It's fun to share.
All right, your audio is good and your video is good, and yes, it is fun to share.
Brilliant.
That is exactly why we like to do this. So
I'm going to adjust. There we go. That's better.
There we go. So so today we have a bunch of things to talk about, but just want to get some house cleaning things out of the air. So I had a SSD drive fail on me, and that was the boot drive of the machine I'm streaming from right now. And my last full backup was about a year ago. But I had some files I copied over a few months ago, or a few weeks ago even. So just a big heads up. Back up your stuff. The problem is that the SSD I have has a fault. It's one of the cheapo ones. It was like $30 or something. But it has this Fission S11 chipset or something like that. And apparently what happens is the firmware just goes, beep, and then the data's still on the drive, but you can't access it because the firmware is totally gone to bits. So I actually had a carbon copy cloner backup of the drive, and it was sitting right internally. I just didn't schedule it because I'm an idiot, and so it could have been backing up the entire time. So the lesson is, don't be an idiot like Steve. Actually, do your backup and test your backup. But so the good thing is that there was no real important data on this computer. It was strictly used for streaming. So the amount of new data that was on this machine from a year ago to now, not a lot. I mean, I would grab something from the upstairs computer, I would grab a CD, copy it, and then move it on to another system. So there was a lot of just dual stuff going on here. So I didn't lose too much, and what I don't remember was on here is probably good, because otherwise I'd drive myself crazy. But the guys are going to roast me on MacGack on Thursday, I'm sure. But back up your stuff. Don't think that an SSD is more reliable. It's faster, but it's still, it's not if these things will break, it's when. And test your backup strategy. Make sure you're doing it. And if you have one of those cheapo SSDs, or even a moderately priced one, make sure that it doesn't use that Fission S11 chipset, because you could be in for some trouble. And from what I researched at like 3 a.m. in the morning, there is no real way to resolve that problem other than shelling out like thousands of dollars for professional grade recovery software that will actually change the firmware on the SSD and try and recover that stuff. So yeah, that's that out of the way. And that's also why I didn't want to move the whole computer over there this time. So we have a bit of a different backdrop. There's slightly different crap in the background. So
it's like such a good mountain of crap behind you.
Yeah, we have let's see if I can get out of the way properly here. So there's a image writer, of course, because you have to have an image writer. And there's an iMac DV box, there's an adjustable keyboard box, and there's a tower of Macintosh SEs. So there you go. That's not as nicely organized as your tower, I assume. But
I'm a little bit tidier than you, but there is maybe some crap hiding and in piles of junk that I will keep carefully out of shot. By the way, I really have to highlight your incredible shirt.
Why, thank you.
I absolutely love it.
Yeah, this
so good.
This was one of those things that you probably see them on Instagram where you are too, but someone will go to a charity shop or a thrift store and they will just find these random pieces of clothing and they'll say, "Oh, this I want this for this much." So I grossly overpaid for this shirt by an obscene amount. Like I'm sure this cost probably $2, and I paid a crazy amount of that. But I was just looking at it, and I'll zoom in here. But it's
totally
just this it's this QuickTime shirt, and at the bottom it says the revolution continues, and it's just like. I mean, I always loved the QuickTime logo with those pastel rainbow like colors, and when I saw this shirt, it's probably like a conference giveaway or something like that, or an engineering shirt or something.
It's like keyframes from that animation, which has got this very 90s soundtrack to it. It's kind of like
and then it has this little wave, and I don't know what the wave really signifies. Maybe somebody in the chat. I don't know if it was a conference or a codec or something. But yeah, so I've been ignoring the chat for far too long. So let's just give everybody a shout out, and then we'll dive into our dorky talks that we almost started before the. Before the
Hello,
show
everyone.
went live.
Oh yeah, Steve and I just started chatting, and then we're like, "Wait a second,
we should be recording this." Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh boy, so we got over 30 viewers at the moment, so thank you everybody. So we got Jay from the House of Moth, Sean from Action Retro, Tech and Music, Michael, Joel Tech. We have Chris Ziantan. I'm sorry, I'm terrible at pronouncing names. We'll have James pronounce the names next time.
Oh, there's going to be another, is there?
So,
I hope so.
we have Thomas, we have Distro Hopper, we have Nick, let's see, Trina, Sadmac, let's see, Devilish Design, who else? I'm scrolling and the chat's moving at the same time. We have James, of course, he's in the chat also, so how about that? So you could address all your concerns and complaints to him as well. We have Curtis, Retro Techie, and let's see, did I miss anybody else? No, I think we're good. But apologies for the butchering of the names. That's what you get here at Mac84. That's something that I pride myself on. So I'm the stupid guy that can't pronounce names correctly. So there you go. So would you like to talk a little bit about what we were yapping about before we went live? And then we'll dive into some of our topics.
No, like, what were we talking? Oh!
I was asking you because I couldn't remember.
No, I can remember. One thing that came up was why were we were talking about your brother.
Oh
yes.
I
now can't remember why. Why were we talking about your brother?
I don't know. I can't remember.
But then we were like, and you were like, he's my twin, but we don't look alike.
Yeah.
And I was like, I'm a twin. I have a twin sister, so both Steve and I are dorky twins.
It's so weird.
Twins that don't look like us.
I absolutely love it. That's like, we couldn't have planned that.
It's good. It's good. It's good.
So that was a revelation. I didn't know that, and and it's fun because like, I only met like you only meet like a handful of twins. You never know exactly. How
they are the best people, though, Steve.
They are. There you go. But which the first set or the first person or the next? Or...
I was first out, so obviously the
me
first
too.
one is best.
I was first out.
There you go, mate.
See, you almost offended me there, but then you're okay. So. And I just clicked something awful in OBS. I got to correct this with and everything.
Have you broken everything?
Everything is snapping to my cursor, and I don't want it to do that. And the text tools here are not designed for somebody who's nitpicky about exactly where they want the font to go. Oh, there we go. I was trying to make your window. Except my video window is slightly larger than yours, and I didn't want you to have. I didn't want you to have any. Oh
yeah, you've got like 55% of the screen. I'm outraged.
I'm the guest, damn it! All right, there we go. That's
Give
a
me
little
bit
bit.
More.
There we go. And we got a divider line, so we could. No.
Oh, look at that! Oh, that's very professional. Oh yeah.
That's not intentional.
How do I do this?
Yeah.
I can't because I can't see the dividing line.
Yeah, you have to go to the other side. We'll be like ET.
Am I doing it right?
Yeah,
I can't do it.
Oh god.
The problem is that I can only see the split screen view in about 20 seconds behind or something. And so it's like making my brain explode.
This is what you get here at OpenTalk. Fantastic fantastic tricks and
The worst special
illusions.
effects.
Yes, the best special effects.
The best special effects.
I need to plug in one of those old school like analog wipe machines where it does like star wipes and stuff on.
Oh, I'd love that.
Oh, that'd be horrible.
So yeah, I mean, this is kind of you and me doing a bit of Marcintosh because I haven't really done anything. I put up some posts on Twitter and Instagram, but we always said that we were going to do something, and this is kind of it. I mean, we might do another thing if there's time in this month. Like, we don't plan anything, so we'll just have to see. But yeah, this is our thing, and yeah, I think we're gonna look at some of my stuff, but I just want to point out that I have dressed for the occasion.
Oh yes. Wait, let me.
Oh no, here we go. Oh yeah. Just getting undressed on air.
Now that's the only layer James will be taking off, I assure you.
Yeah, don't worry, nothing else. These are so good, aren't they?
His fans only page is or whatever it's called. You'll have to go there for the more details.
Afraid it's a bit pricey. But it's probably worth it.
That's the way to sell it. It's probably worth it.
Yeah.
Oh, that is a lovely.
So that'd be fun.
That is a lovely sweatshirt or jumper or whatever you.
Yeah,
whatever
proper. It's the real deal.
Oh wow, that's cool. No reprints here. Authentic '90s clothing.
Yeah. But what is interesting is that I've got the T-shirt as well, and it says Macintosh on the back. So why does the shirt say Apple and the?
Maybe
I don't know.
Maybe that was before they dubbed it Macintosh, or maybe the Macintosh one was made later when Macintosh had brand awareness. And
oh, yeah, I think you're probably right.
These are guesses, but let's just say that they're facts.
That's a good guess. Yeah.
And Trina guessed it. It's the Superman reveal. Hashtag facts.
That's what it said, isn't it?
That's what I'm changing the overlay to.
Very good, Trina. Very good, Trina.
There, so we have the ability to change overlays here on OBS, the little text here, and so I just did hashtag facts at the bottom. There we go.
Everything you hear will be 100% correct.
Yes, as long
we
as
don't make mistakes like other shows and podcasts.
No, everything is true. Speaking of true, here's our PayPal donation link. Yeah.
We update Wikipedia as we're talking.
Yes, we're just slamming around. So, yeah, let me put up the Marcintosh page. So, if you're not familiar with Marcintosh, here it is. And so the whole idea behind this is to build great Macintosh content for the month of March. And so, unlike Septandia and December, where it sort of seemed like, I don't know if it was, but it sort of seemed like it was like a closed ecosystem type thing. This is not. This is totally open for everyone. So whether you're doing a video, a podcast, a social media post, a blog post, or something like that, go to marcintosh.com. We got a welcome guide and a style guide to help you out there. Ron and Joe were the ones who put this together, so excellent idea there. And there's quite a lot of content. I mean, if you go to the content page and you search the tag on YouTube, there's quite a bunch of Marcintosh stuff going on. So we have content from myself, we have Macintosh Librarian here, we have Joe's Computer Museum, we have Brian's Computer Retreat, we have all sorts of cool stuff from people I know, people I don't know. We have Sean from Action Retro, we have this weird Mac 84 guy, we have Ron's computer videos. We have so much cool stuff that's out here, so be sure to check that page out. We even have This Does Not Compute is having some Marcintosh stuff here. Tech and Music is doing stuff here. Retro Techie. I mean, the names just go on and on here. So there's a ton of cool stuff here. I have to actually catch up because I haven't had the time to watch it all. Yeah, so it's really exploded. So there's so much cool stuff to check out. So definitely something to do.
I want to watch that Shapeshifter video.
Yeah,
Shapeshifter is so. I love all the. There's so many Mac emulators for Amiga and Atari ST, and I almost bought one like a week ago, but it was like $250, and I was like, I just can't bring myself. But I've got like a really crappy one on my shelf called Fusion, but I think you actually need some extra hardware still. But
oh, really?
Obviously, as they all had the same CPUs, it didn't actually take all that much work to get them working. And I've seen, I think Peter Fletcher on Instagram, I think that's his name. shared him running Amiga on Mac and Mac on Amiga.
Yes.
Maybe Atari, or maybe no
Something
Atari.
like
Sorry,
that,
it was
yeah.
Atari ST. Yeah, he had his Mega ST with a Mac going on it, and I was a bit jealous with Spectre GCR, which is something I would love to play with. I don't have an Atari, but I do have an Amiga 500.
I don't
But
have
yeah,
either.
I love that stuff. It's so cool.
Yeah, I mean, it's really neat. There was a video that was it Neil from RMC The Cave put out, I think, where he, if I recall correctly, he had an Amiga, and the whole tagline to the video, or the hook or whatever, was, "Is this Amiga faster than a Macintosh?"
Oh
And
yeah,
and
yeah.
that blew me away, because I was like, "What?" You know, I thought it was going to be, emulation tricks or something like that. But that was really neat.
I'll get my crappy thing and show it to you very quickly.
Yeah,
It's
yeah.
just around the other side of the room. Here we go.
Don't fall.
Look at this. Everything's. No, I haven't got that many boxes. It's not that bad. Right. There we go. Fusion.
Oh, wow.
And this looks like it's going to be a CD because it's a jewel case. And then I love it. You open it up and it's a floppy disk inside. And this is apparently this is a professional Macintosh emulator. Sorry, the professional Macintosh emulator.
We can't mix that up.
Whoops, that's broken already.
Not anymore.
But yeah, there was quite a few. Shapeshifter turned into Sheepshaver, right?
Oh,
So
okay.
Shapeshifter on the Amiga was what Sheepshaver is based on.
I forgot all about that. I remember reading about
Yeah.
that, but wow.
Bonkers, isn't it?
That's
Amigas
cool.
were very cool computers. Very cool
See,
computers.
I had the chance to pick one up. Jay from the House of Moth here used to go to recycling center, and he had the chance to look at an Amiga that was there. And I asked how much they wanted for it, but it had like a video board and all this fancy stuff. I think they wanted a few $100s for it. I said, "Never mind, that was out of my budget."
Yeah, I think they are, like, especially if it's like an Amiga 500 or something. They're often really.
I believe that's what it was.
People are still really after them. Like the one I got was a present for my partner because she had one when she was a kid.
Oh,
And
nice.
yeah, we paid more than we should have, but it was still way cheaper than they are now. This was like 3-4 years ago, and it's gone ridiculous. And I mean, they were really common in the UK in the 90s. So yeah, but we also went and got a accelerator board for it that sticks in the side, and it has an 020 chip on it, and it also has two compact flash slots.
Oh, wow.
So you basically have so one can have like the boot stuff on and the OS on, and the other one you can have basically all your games, because people only use the Amigas to game on, so they don't do anything else with it.
Yeah, that's the thing. I don't think they were really popular here in the U.S. I mean, I really grew up not even knowing what a Commodore and Amiga was. Maybe it was just my specific area in the world, or just I was just ignoring it.
No, it was just so much bigger in Europe, so much bigger. Like the UK and Germany, it was huge, absolutely huge compared to the US, which is bizarre, isn't it? Because it was came out of the US, and
Yeah.
but yeah.
Yeah, it's always strange how those things sort of work themselves out. But what's great about this stuff is now there are still these communities that are putting out new hardware accessories for them, new software. I mean, there's things like Marcintosh where, for those platforms as well, where like the awareness of these things is just getting more and more. So.
Oh yeah, Amiga seems to get a lot more hardware than Retro Max, but we'll catch up eventually.
Yeah, we got some SCSI-2 SD adapters. There's a guy in Germany on the 68K MLA forum. The name escapes me, so I'm.
Boller.
Yes, and just making
his stuff's incredible.
Absolutely incredible. I mean, reverse engineering boards and accelerators.
Yeah, I've got his combined Ethernet and accelerator board up there on the shelf, which I realised that I'd forgotten I had it, and I looked up the shelf the other day and I was like, oh, that's his card in that box. It's really bad, isn't it? It's really bad.
Yeah, well, it would have been bad if you went to buy another one and then.
No, that would have been really bad.
But I think they just announced like a few days ago that he had some success reverse engineering a Macintosh SE30 logic board, and so there's still some bugs to work out. But he got it to boot. There's a photo of it on the board. That is cool stuff. I mean, that is
so cool.
I mean, I have a board right here. If I could get to it without unplugging all the cables, and this was a board that was sent to me as a dead board, and you can see it has a lovely color of battery exploding rust all over it.
Oh yeah,
and
I've seen that a few too many times.
Yeah, so there's rust all on the bottom. It did clean up pretty well. This was in the ultrasonic cleaner for maybe like an hour combined. But
you've got all the fancy kit, Steve.
Well, I
love it.
This has been a while getting there, but There's the ultrasonic cleaner I have, and then the microscope. Those are the only two expensive things.
But I would love to have both those things. I just can't quite justify it yet.
I just like after the last few repair jobs the month before last, that covered the microscope. So it's slowly paid for itself.
Phew. That's good.
Yeah, so
that's really good.
That's the goal I set out for myself, and I told myself, well, after that's all done, maybe I'll stop the recapping jobs. But so far, I'm going to continue. So
I watched in your EPROM video.
oh yes,
I saw there was the bit where you were fixing someone's board on your microscope, and I was a bit jealous because, well, basically, when I'm doing repairs like that, I have like a loop. This is so lame. I have like a a jeweler's loop, and I'm like trying to work out how I'm doing.
What I started with, and it's not the best. The loop is probably better optically, but I started out with one of these little cheapo webcam thingies.
Oh, yeah.
And so they're very cheap. Now, there's a middle ground between this and a full-fledged microscope where it's, an actual lens and you have a little video screen, which I'll have to email you at one point because Bruce from Brankus Creations has it in his links all the time. But this wasn't too bad. Now, the resolution was stupid. It was 640 by 480. And, of course, you lose that optical advantage of actually being able to see in stereo and look to the left or the right of something. But it was okay. There's a bunch of LED lights on it. The only reason I'm keeping this one is this one works with a Mac. The other one I have, which I need to find to send to my friend Logan, only works on PCs. But this one just magically works as a Mac because it's just a stupid little webcam in there, and then there's a bunch of lights and a magnifier, piece of plastic. So I mean, these are about $20 US. They're not really going to break the bank. But there is, between that and a several $100 microscope, there's like a $200 kit that's basically, your traditional microscope eyes, and then there's a little base and a little screen. So there's some in between stuff, but I can't tell you how night and day difference it is to be able to look at something, and be able to maneuver. Because when I showed in that video of me moving that little, soldering that trace and curling it around, I would have not been able to do that.
Awesome. Yeah, because basically the way I have to do that when I have to, because I have had to fix pads, and it's one of the worst things. I have had to basically look really closely to figure out what's going on, and then obviously step back, get the soldering iron out, and just hope for the best. Boy. And you're like, and then you have to check again and check in. And that was the bit I was jealous of. I was like, he can see and do it all at once. Yeah, I know that sounds ludicrous though.
No, it took a while to get there, but it was. It's definitely an investment, but it has slowly eventually paid for itself, which was good.
No, that's great. That's great. If I had time, I'd probably offer recapping to people, but I don't even have time to do it for myself.
That's the thing. It is a huge time suck, and I mean it is rewarding as heck to do because you do get to fix these things up, but 9 times out of 10 when somebody sends me something, it's not just recapping. There's a torn trace, there's a pad, and people are going to look, and I don't blame them because people are going to look at a board. And they're just going to say, well, the caps look good to me. And sure, they'll look good to me, too, with my naked eye. But once you get a huge magnification there, you're going to see there's a bit of a stickiness around the capacitor. Maybe it's already
the goop.
The goop. Yeah. You're going to see that, maybe there are traces, there are dark marks along those traces. They're not connected anymore. So I get people all the time that... will respond to me and say, no, I think it's fine. I just washed it with with some fluid and it's going to be okay. And I cleaned it up with isopropyl alcohol and it boots up again. And I said, and the analogy I always use is I compare it to a flat tire. Your tire's flat. If you put some air in it, that's fine. But there's still a leak there. There's still a problem, a core problem that has not been fixed. And until you fix that core problem, you're going to keep having the same issues. And so it's just one of those things that I always stress to people before, they're inquiring about me recapping their board. And I don't care if you go with me or go with somebody else. If someone's cheaper, by all means, go with them. That's a great price. But the reason I charge what I charge is I do in-depth testing. I have all the hardware, the chassis. I have an Apple tech step here. I'm going to test the serial ports, the software, and everything. So that's what I do. And, no stinky eye to anybody who's cheaper. Go right ahead. You got to charge for what you think your time is worth. But
Oh yeah, no,
that's
totally.
that's
If you were closer by, I'd probably be getting you on some of the stuff. I've done about oh God, I think I've done about 30, and I don't really want to ever do it again. But you just have to, don't you? And now, of course, I'm doing flipping CD-ROM drives and things like
oh,
that, and
I
it's
haven't
like the
gotten to
worst.
those yet, but I've just
Because
started some power supplies and they're not fun.
yeah, yeah, and it's like when you go into the zone of this is a difficult thing, and I have absolutely no idea what I'm doing, then it becomes really very rewarding when you succeed, but it's not very fun on the way.
No, of course not. Well, yeah. So speaking of rewarding and weird things,
Oh yeah,
we'll try and do that as a segue.
this great segue. I like it. I'm going with it. I fully support this segue.
Excellent. So you have something interesting there.
Yeah,
We
I've got some
a
stuff.
few things.
Yeah.
So
Should we look at them?
you could introduce them and in whatever order you want, but I guess I will preface this by just briefly talking about what these are. So if you have not seen my video that I released in January about the Macintosh clones, now would probably be a good time to bookmark that and watch it a little bit later. But essentially, for a time period in the early 1980s to the mid 1990s, individuals were actually making, not officially licensed, but making these conversion Macintosh computers, whether it was from a kit or from a manufacturer. What these individuals would do is they would essentially sell you a machine that was Macintosh compatible, but the Macintosh ROM is what actually allows everything to work. And what they would do is they would let you purchase, or they would have you take your ROM out from your existing machine or whatever, and they would essentially let their hardware be Macintosh compatible, and you'd have to find the ROM on your own, etc. So essentially, what has always been the area of, well, only Apple makes apples, was not exactly the case, because what had happened is these manufacturers sort of found a little bit of a loophole, and they said, you know what, we can make the hardware with the processor and memory and everything, but you have to get your ROM on yourself. You have to get your ROM from your Macintosh SE, your Macintosh Plus, and send it to us. We'll transplant the chip for you, etc. But that was something that they had to do themselves. So in this time period, there were these companies that converted Macintosh machines to different form factors. And James has an excellent one to show you here. And we're going to put him full screen. Here he is. Right. Tell us a bit about what this monstrosity is.
So, so this is. I didn't really know where to start. We've got 4 computers that we're going to look at, and they're from 3 different manufacturers, and they all handle the kind of getting around the licensing issue slightly differently, and they're all a bit different and weird. But I thought I'd start with this. Is kind of the most, in some ways, the coolest one and the most boring. But it's because it's the oldest. I thought we'd start with, and I think it's the biggest. It's definitely really heavy. I mean, here's the bag.
Oh my!
So it's scale to me. You can see what that's like. And what I'll do is I'll show you. I don't know how many of you know the Macintosh Portable, but I've got a Macintosh Portable bag here, and I'll put them next to each other, and you can see what they're like. There we go.
My goodness.
They're both enormous. Both enormous.
That's not
so
that's not some luggage you just want to put in your overhead carry.
There's no way you'd want to carry either of these. So this one here that we're going to look at. I'll put the Apple official Portable to one side. So this one here is called Dynamac. The company was called Dynamac as well. Although this is specifically the, I think, EL 1710, and I think. So the EL stands for electroluminescent, because the screen, I think, is an electroluminescent screen. I think the very first ones had a gas plasma screen.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
And so I'm pretty sure it's called the 1710 for extremely dorky reasons. What is the number of the Starship Enterprise
in BASIC or something?
TNG.
Yeah, I don't. Oh boy! Oh wow! That is.
Yeah.
There's no padding in that box, in that bag.
No, there's no padding. This is the beast itself.
Wow.
So we've got the ports on the back. We'll go through all this when I get out back.
That's like the size of a neck slab.
It is. I think it weighs more as well.
Oh God.
And I'm pretty sure we'll look through all. I'm just going to get all the bits out. So
Sure.
we've got a mouse here, and this mouse might start to tell you, give you some clues about a little bit about the story of how the Dynamax manufacturing worked and the licensing worked. Hopefully I've got a power cable there. So I think that's everything. I don't think this came with any. I didn't get any manuals or paperwork with this. So let's put that bag down.
And what size monitor is directly to your right there? So we could.
This one here. This is the Apple high resolution display, which is the 13-inch, 14-inch.
So that's a good size comparison as well.
Yeah. I hope I got my camera set up okay for you there.
Oh yeah, we can see you.
Okay, cool. Right, so let's get it open.
So what's the ports on the back as well?
Oh yeah, let's start with the ports. So I'll lift this up a bit.
Excellent.
Oh, actually, it's got its own little stand.
Oh, how about that?
There we go. Look at that.
That is
and
awesome.
And it kind of goes into a little slot there to hold it. I'll angle my camera down. Here we go.
Sure, thank you.
There we go.
No power brick here. That's a full-size power supply.
Yeah, we've got a full power supply in there, which is probably part of the weight. And actually, I think I've recapped that power supply. I've definitely recapped a lot of this. So we've got, let's start with the power side. So normal power supply, we've got your reset buttons there, restart and whatever the other one is, interrupt. Can you see down here? Yeah, so
yes.
There's modem, printer. Then you could have, there was an option for an internal modem as well, and that's the RJ45 port for it as well there, and that's got a switch for it. And then there's, I think this is for the different telephone systems in the US, right. Maybe, because it says CCITT and Bell 212, maybe that's US and Europe, I don't actually know. I have no idea at all. Anyone in the chat that is a telephone network nerd,
let us know.
And then we've got SCSI down here, and keyboard port. You'll notice that it's an external keyboard port. You'll notice that looks familiar because, again, it's the phone one like on the original Macs. Yeah. And you can turn that on and off with that switch.
Nice.
And then down here we've got floppy, and we've got mouse, and we've got sound out. And then up here we've got video out, which I think was only for some sort of e-machines type standard that they did themselves.
That's not VGA. It looks like an older 9-pin connector.
In the brochures, it's called like an e-machines video port. And e-machines was a monitor manufacturer, but I've not tried that with anything yet. Just in case. And
is that an intake or a speaker on the that side?
That's a fan.
And on the other side.
Yeah, that's a fan. Oh, there. Yeah, I think. Oh, sorry.
That's all right.
Very professional.
Smile. Yeah.
I think that might be the speaker, but I'm not going to swear by it. Hashtag fact.
and under the fan it says industrial design, and there's a signature there or a label,
and it says industrial design by, and then it has like backslash, and then it has a prime mark, which some people think is an apostrophe, but that's a prime because I'm a typography nerd. And then it says EJ, and then there's another backslash, and I haven't actually looked that up. I can't remember. I don't know what that refers to.
Mm-hmm. If I don't either.
Everyone out there in the chat, just Google backslash prime EJ backslash.
Now everyone's Googling, how do I make the prime character on my keyboard?
It's fine. It's the thing that you always end up typing when you think you're typing an apostrophe. So that's the ports. Now, you might notice something familiar about the ones down there, and that again gives away something about how this was manufactured and licensed. So I might as well just say. Yeah. So basically, what Dynamax did to get around, so they couldn't get a license from Apple to just make their own portable Macs, and so what they did was they did get some help from Apple. So they basically bought Macs at wholesale, truckloads of Macs. I think it was Macintosh Plus era, yeah. So it was Macintosh Plus because this is from 87 or 88, I think.
So what model is that? That's the Dynamax. Is it the EL or is it
EL?
Okay, so that was 88 then.
Yeah, so 88, and so they bought pluses on trucks, but like in box, like not straight from the factory, but like all boxed up and everything. So they would turn up at Dynamac, and then Dynamac employees would basically have to unbox the Macs, strip down everything, and then basically this is a genuine Macintosh Plus motherboard in here. And then they used other parts from the Plus for all sorts of other things because they didn't want to waste any of it. So they used the feet from the Plus to like inside. There's like some bits where they are using them as standoffs,
Yeah.
bizarrely inside.
Wow.
And then the keyboard is the actual Plus keyboard as well. The keys on
Oh,
this computer
interesting.
we'll see in a moment. See that in a moment. But then here, this is the Plus's actual mouse. This is a platinum. This is an Apple mouse, but they've taken off
Oh,
the label
wow.
here. They've drilled out like where the Apple logo is and put their own Dynamac sticker logo in
Wow.
there. And then you'll see they've actually removed the logo from there as well. So it's still got the little mouse one, but I think is there normally
Yeah,
an
there's
Apple logo
normally
there
an
or
Apple
something?
there.
Yeah. So yeah, they've taken off all identifying stuff.
That's interesting that they went to such
Yeah.
expense. Now, on the one of these websites here that says Every Mac that's listing all the specs, it says that this one was 18 pounds, and it's a full 6 pounds lighter than the previous version. So the
Wow.
previous one from '87. This is
That was the gas
that,
plasma.
that was the
display
gas
one, I guess.
plasma one.
Yeah.
And this is the lighter one. But it also says that it can sport an external monitor and an RCA jack that outputs standard NTSC video. So maybe that's not on that model you have there, but very interesting.
Yeah, I was kind of bummed that there's no RCA out because I don't know exactly how to get video out of this at all, and I got excited by that, and then I looked and I was like, oh, it's not there. So yeah, let's open it up.
So is there anything on the left or the right side?
So yeah, there's nothing to see apart from here. You've got the kind of you press in this hatch
Okay.
to press in this latch, sorry, to open it. I think it's the same on the other, yeah.
Got it.
And we've got these kind of fake venti slot things here, but that's nothing. Doesn't do anything. And you can probably see, like, especially when I open it up, you'll see that I think it was heavily inspired by the grid compass
Oh,
design.
yes.
Which is a much more beautiful design than this. And that was incredible. Bill Mugridge designs were pretty amazing. So let's get this open.
Oh, wow.
There we go. So you can see there is the Apple Macintosh Plus keyboard. I mean, that is just that. It's completely.
That's fantastic.
It is just one of those. So it's quite odd. But then, obviously, no trackpad, no trackball, nothing like that. You had to use the mouse. This is not a laptop by any means. This is all about something that you could take somewhere.
Can I bother you to tilt your camera down slightly so I could reuse some of this footage in an upcoming video?
Oh yeah,
of course. Thank you. That's plenty.
Oh wait, is that enough?
Yeah, no, that's fine. I just wanted to see the bottom of the keyboard. It's beautiful.
There we go.
Beautiful, absolutely beautiful.
There.
Oh, look at that.
How about that framing? There we go. Is that better?
Oh, that is fantastic.
So and then we've got the floppy drive over here, in this bit. And then we've got the hard drive is behind here, but the hard drive in this one lasted probably a couple of months. I've had this for years and years and years.
Wow.
I think I've had this about 7 years maybe. But the hard drive died, so I think it's got a SCSI to SD in it, and it still weighs a ton. And then otherwise, I mean, that's it. I mean, we should get it switched on and have a look at it.
Yeah,
because the screen is kind of the thing that looks coolest.
So the floppy drive there, I assume that's 800K?
Yes, yeah, it's an 800K drive. Yeah, you're basically looking at a black Macintosh Plus in a weird case.
In a luggable form
really.
factor.
Yeah. So there we go.
Wow.
And I'm sorry about the screen flicker.
No,
now what
that's
you'll
all right.
see is that this is 512 wide here, and then you'll see it when it loads the specific Dynamac extension. You see it jumped in width.
Interesting.
So now it's 640 wide, I think, and basically, do you know Haplane?
Yes.
Hap that's on the forums here. So he has one of these, and luckily he had the software because I couldn't find the software. And there's a particular extension you need for it to be able to run in its native resolution. That's basically it. That's kind of
That's
because otherwise
awesome.
it's basically just a Macintosh Plus. I forgot to put the mouse in, so I'm putting
That's
it in
okay.
now. Hopefully that doesn't harm
It's
it.
interesting because
Um,
Patrick in the chat noticed that yeah, the Plus had the keyboard with the number pad on it. So either they threw away that part, or this is maybe leftover keyboards because it looks like a
yeah,
Plus keyboard. It doesn't look like the 512K one, which had
yeah,
more of the
and it.
brownish keys.
But what I realised is there's no Apple on the command key. And was there an Apple on the Macintosh Plus command
I
key?
am looking for my Plus keyboard. Where the heck did I put
All my pluses are packed in bags.
it?
Um,
Yeah, hold on. Let me stand up.
where the-
I'll,
oh wait, I've got some. I have got some there. We can't both leave, can we?
oh, it's the camera. The
Well,
camera's focused on you. Everyone cares about the computer. So
I'm just watching Steve looking around his room for a keyboard. So I could show off. There's a couple of. I think there's a couple of custom things on here, maybe control panels.
uh-huh.
The problem is that the screen updating is rubbish.
Oh, that's okay. Nothing you can do
Um,
about that.
Maybe there isn't. Maybe it was just a custom extension.
So the Macintosh Plus
It
keyboard
was.
I'm looking at has a return key that's more like an L shape, like a reverse L
Oh yeah,
shape.
this is not an L.
But
And actually,
I don't know if
now I
that's
look-
just a region difference or not.
well, something interesting going on here. This is something that will. I mean, I can point my camera at it, but I doubt you'll be able to see the difference. But what I've noticed, so if I show you, I'm gonna. Sorry about
No,
this.
no, that's
I don't
fine.
wanna
And
make
then
anyone
and then
dizzy.
the Macintosh
But
original
look,
keyboard
here.
doesn't have doesn't. There's usually a space under the left shift key that's not there. So I'm sorry. Continue.
Well, no. That makes sense because you see these two keys here,
Uh-huh.
return and enter.
Oh.
The printing on them is way darker than the other keys. Can you? I don't know if you can see that in shot.
Yeah, I wonder.
But
I wonder if they just
Are they a replacement?
maybe they put replacement keycaps on it, but kept the mechanism or something.
Yeah, and then down here, that these don't. Yeah, I don't know what's going on. I mean, maybe they got new keycaps,
Yeah,
but they definitely used the keyboard.
they use something.
Um, but who knows? But I mean, if you had bought an entire, I mean, these were so expensive because it was an entire Mac
Oh, of
that had
course.
then been disassembled and reassembled, and actually inside. I mean, if we had forever, we could do this another time maybe. I could open this up and show you inside, but basically, the bottom of the machine
Mm-hmm.
at the back, like sort of this much of it, is the plus board, the Macintosh plus board at the bottom, and then above it there's a specific board for the machine, and that has the video out.
Oh, okay.
And it has a bunch of controllers and things like that, and yeah, it's got all the custom stuff on it and the interface with the screen and that sort of thing. And actually, that's where I saw. I think we talked about this last time. That's where it's got. I think Bill Goins' name silk screened on it,
Oh,
and
cool.
he was the chap who was the product manager on the Macintosh LC team.
Wow.
Which was obviously a couple of years after this. And Dynamite, of course, failed because, I mean, it was expensive and it was heavy, and everything else happened. But I mean, I guess PowerBooks hadn't quite happened yet, but we're around the corner. So, but yeah. So, is there anything you want me to show you on this? I mean, it kind of looks like everything looks like a Mac except really yellow.
Yeah, I mean it's interesting the resolution there. So how it sort of takes advantage of that. Now, does that negatively affect applications like Prince of Persia or Shufflepuck that are full screen and take advantage of that resolution? Because I noticed you have
Let's see what
Shufflepuck
happens
there.
with. That was one of the first Mac games I ever saw. Maybe it was. Maybe after Stunt Copter.
Okay, so it just sort of. Oh, but that's a perfect example because that shows you the extra resolution that you get.
Yeah.
Now, does when you're not in, I assume the resolution isn't stretched or anything because it looks like it's pretty in the correct aspect ratio and everything.
It's completely normal.
Wow.
It looks completely normal. So yeah, and it's really nice because, I mean, it feels like using an active matrix LCD. There's like no ghosting or anything but the yellowness is kind of a fun quirk.
Yeah.
But otherwise, it's like a really great screen. Like it's super contrasty, super responsive. Like it's and if you think like equivalent stuff at the time, a lot of it was like passive matrix, and it was awful. And I mean, obviously we had passive matrix on PowerBooks for years afterwards because it's so much cheaper. That's actually one of the nice things about Macintosh Portable is it has an active matrix screen, so it's got really great screens. But that's also why they were so flipping expensive. So
yeah, and so you're running what system here? Is it 6 or 7?
it's 6.
Because it is a plus, so
something.
in theory it could run a flavor of
608.
7, but I'm not sure if the drivers and software would be happy if the Dynamac
Yeah.
exclusive stuff was ever made for 7. Who knows?
Yeah, it's all designed for 6, I think, and I'm kind of like into leaving it in a sort of era appropriate setup, if
Yeah,
that makes sense.
and
Just ma-
it runs the fastest on 6 too. 6 is just blazing fast with the Scuzzy Twisty anyway.
yeah. Oh yeah, no, and it's so nice. Yeah, so the things that are custom, I think it might only be. Sorry, but this mouse is screwed up.
Live mouse
I'm, like,
cleaning.
Fighting,
Yeah.
I'm like actually fighting
Well,
the mouse. No,
see
seriously,
what
I
happened
cleaned it
is,
already.
that mouse saw what we did to the previous mouse in the other stream, and it's like, you're not going to do it to me. We're not doing this again.
Did you see Mingo got his yoke?
Yes, I was very jealous. He got his
So
mouse
good.
yoke.
He looked like he had a really great time with it.
He did. I am super jealous because that is one of the things I'd love to just like have to make a video on and then go, okay, someone else could take it. That's just ridiculous.
So this is the I don't know if you can see, it's quite hard, sorry, because of the refresh
That's
and
okay.
everything. Maybe if I tilt
that's
the
better.
screen, is that any better? So you can see up here that it's got this little icon that's
cool.
like a monitor with a Mac hiding behind it. It says DM for Dynamac, I guess. And then version Dynamac patch file version 0.9, and it's created 1986,
Wow.
September 1986. So that tells you a little bit more about it. So obviously, like, if the first ones were coming out 87, that makes sense. At the end of 86, they were doing that.
Yeah.
So again, like 86, the Plus was already out. So it was based on the same platform the whole time, I guess. Is that right? The Plus was 86, right?
Yeah, the plus is 86,
Yeah.
and then they had a revision in 87 of the Plus.
That's it.
Yeah.
That's it. And then, I think that's the only custom thing you need to get this all running. So it will boot and run fine on standard System 6. But obviously I was like, I can tell that this screen has high resolution, and all the adverts say 40% more resolution than a standard Mac,
Yeah.
which is one of the things they sold it on,
Wow.
right? So, and actually when it came out, what would you have had? Would there have been any, there would have been, 87 was when the 2 came out, wasn't it? So
Yeah. So I guess you could. I guess this was the only compact and portable system at the time that you could actually have more screen real estate than your standard compact, your Plus or the original Macs.
Exactly. So I think that's. I don't know if there's anything else to really look at.
Does it have a startup chime?
Yeah, it's just the Plus one. It goes.
Okay.
I'm just looking at Mac Envy to see if there's anything juicy in here, but I think it will just say it's a Plus. Yeah, it just says Macintosh Plus. It's got a megabyte of RAM.
Nice.
It's just the standard. Everything's standard about it.
Well, when you open it up,
nothing
you'll have
fancy.
to bump it to 4 megs.
Yeah, but it knows it's 640 by 400.
Oh,
so,
excellent.
But that's it.
Yeah, I think 640 by 400 was the same as the portables resolution when Apple eventually came out with that. So.
Yep. So yeah, if you want a yellow Macintosh Plus with slightly higher resolution, then this is the one for you.
I like it.
With
no built-in pointer device whatsoever.
Yeah, and it's its own thing.
It is lovely. That's a lovely machine though to. And have you had any problems restoring it, or you said you recapped the power supply?
Yeah, the power supply I had. I got the magic smoke from the power supply, so that was fun.
Oh no!
It was fine. It is, yeah. I mean, we've all dealt with that.
Oh yeah.
Magic smoke is sort of almost not as bad as a lot of others. Actually, if it's like a diode or something, then it's kind of annoying. But so yeah, no problems really. Like all that happened was power supply needed recapping, and the hard disk died.
Okay.
And it's otherwise like the Plus is actually quite an easy machine to look after.
Mm-hmm.
Like Pluses and SEs are just like never a bother really. Like in a Plus, you deal with the reefer caps in a Plus, and then you're done. So it's pretty easy to look after, and there's no. It's basically like if something happens with the screen, then I don't know what I'll do because that is the kind of unique part of it. Really, but it's got
and those those systems. It's interesting because a lot of people in the chat are asking about the compatibility. That's why it has the original Mac Plus logic board in there. So theoretically, except for the screen resolution, everything is hardware identical to a Macintosh Plus.
Yeah, there's no. From what I can remember, I would be totally up for like opening this up and having a look inside another video if people want to, because there is some interesting stuff in there. But as far as I can remember, There is nothing fancy. It is just literally a plus encapsulated with extra bits and pieces around it. That's it.
And that was one of the main
complete
selling
standard.
points with Kobe and with Dynamac and with all these others was 100% Apple hardware, Mac OS compatible or system software compatible systems. Because who would buy a machine that was portable? And yes, it was Mac compatible, but if it wasn't actually Mac compatible, people were like, well, I'm not going to buy that. That's ridiculous.
Well, exactly.
So
exactly. Exactly, and like people just wanted a Mac that they could take to more places. It was as simple as that, I think.
Yeah. I mean, you can only get so compact with the 9-inch CRT on the back of the system. I mean,
yeah, exactly. Lump of glass.
And I mean, so the Dynamac had no battery in it, correct?
No.
Yeah.
Just a power supply. Yeah. So it was portable in the sense that, like, I guess you could take it on a plane and set it up at a different office, or you could maybe take it in a car. But yeah, like it's more that you've got your files with you and your applications with you than it's like super flexible. Like you're not going to have that in a plane seat or anything.
Yeah. But that's I think that was one of the main appeals of these systems was Apple didn't make a portable. Here's a portable, and it's not the portable in the true sense that we think of a portable today with wireless and batteries and stuff like that. But it was way more portable than lugging one of these things around. So
even if you could have the cool beige bag, even then,
well, because with this you needed a keyboard, you needed a mouse. A system like that, it just needed the mouse, and the one you're going to show us is even more compact. So this was, what year do you think this one was? This was a few years later.
So these are just before the Macintosh Portable. I think Macintosh Portable was 89, and this might have been the same year, but like a month before or something like that. Like I think maybe August 89. I don't know. Have you got Google in front of you?
Yeah, I found, of course, because I sped out all this information during my clone video, but.
Oh yeah, of course.
The heck if I could remember it. So is this the notebook one or the?
This is the laptop.
The laptop.
So this is the laptop 125, I think it's called. So this is Outbound. So interesting thing about Dynamac and Outbound is I believe more hashtag facts that they're both Colorado companies. One of them is Boulder, Colorado, but I can't remember which. But Outbound started as a company called Wallaby Systems, I think. Yep. And then they changed their name to Outbound. Not sure why. Maybe they just thought it was a terrible name. Don't know. Great logo, though. Not Australian. They're from Colorado.
Yeah, that's what surprised me when I was doing research. I'm like, wait, what? So, but yeah. And the first one, I think, was 89. And then
it was 89.
One that came out a little bit later. But I think, actually, no, I'm sorry. The 2000 model, that was the laptop, I think, was 89. And the other one was a bit earlier. People will find out.
The confusing thing is they've got names that don't make
sense. Exactly.
So this is. I'm pretty sure this is the laptop, which is like you'll see it's like a modular system, and it is pretty weird. It's probably one of the weirdest Macs there is, and it's really interesting in all sorts of ways. And then the notebook is one that looks like a laptop.
Yes, that is exactly correct. That is
which came later.
Yeah. That's how it's confusing, because you look at one and you go, oh, that's the whatever. But yeah, so the first PowerBooks, you got to remember, weren't released until late 1991. And then Outbound went out of business in 92. So that just is the perfect timeline, as I talked a little bit about in the clone video of like. There was a pure reason for these systems and a real need for these systems, and once Apple said, "Here's our Macintosh Portable," these systems still thrived because they were cheaper than Apple's Portable, which was hilarious because Apple had all this time to build a competing form factor, a competing portable, and they missed the mark in almost every way. I mean, not that the Portable isn't a great system; it is. It's faster than a lot of things. Yeah, but they designed it
for all the wrong things. That was the problem. Exactly. With the Portable, they were like, we mustn't compromise, and forgetting that like there are some really important things you have to do around like portability.
Yeah, and people took compromises with these. They were luggable. They were big. They were bulky. People didn't care. They just wanted a portable system. But so here is before Apple's PowerBook was released. Here's what your best option was for a portable system.
Exactly, and everything we're talking about is pre-PowerBook, and I think when we get to the other outbound model, you're talking about something where the PowerBooks had either come out or were just coming out, and they were just trying to struggle on,
Yep.
but they weren't going to compete. So first things first, we should compare this to the portables case, just so because we did for the first
A
one. So
lovely
let's do that
bag.
again.
Lovely bag.
So here we've got there's the portable,
My
there's the outbound,
wow.
and you can see already.
Oh.
So the outbound is a lot smaller already, right? I mean, I know we're not taking them out of the case, but the portable fills up the whole of this case.
Yeah.
So I'll put that to one side again, and let's look. It's covered in cat fur. Cats, great. This bag is really. I mean, this is like it's brand new. It's kind of amazing.
It's a lovely design too.
Yeah, it's really cool. The other outbound bag you'll see is in not quite as good condition. So yeah, it's great. It's got loads. We've got a compartment at the front. We've got the main pocket here. There's a little pocket at the back. And just so everyone knows how cool you are, got a luggage tag, and it's like embossed with their logo.
Oh, look at that!
It's really cool.
That is neat.
It's all like and I guess you could slip your
business card. Or...
You can slip your business card in there. Yeah, exactly.
That's
neat.
It's
pretty cool, right? I'm ready to fly to an important meeting and negotiate the price of RAM chips or what do people do in the late 80s?
You just slam that on the table and meet your demands.
Yeah.
Make your demands.
Yeah. Probably yes. I'm going to avoid drug references. 1980s. You know what I'm talking about. So business deals in the 80s are different from now, I think. So. Let's have a quick look inside the bag.
Sure.
That's fun, right?
Yeah.
We all like opening stuff up. And it will make up for the slight disappointment of the fact that unfortunately we are not going to be able to boot this machine today because it is not in a good mood.
So are you going to kick it with a boot to make it boot, or?
No, I will not. I will not be doing that. It's worth a bit too much for that. So here we've got the user kit.
Oh, interesting.
And this is fun because it opens up and you've got your two floppies.
Oh, lovely.
And then you've got some manuals here. So we've got the floppy drive user guide, in case you don't know how to put a disk into a floppy drive. Very useful. I guess a lot of people hadn't. We've got a notice to outbound customers and dealers. They're from the 12th of March, 1990, they'll no longer routinely include a 1.1 system software diskette with the SCSI adapter or external floppy products. Huh. And you're going to have to, I'm afraid you're going to have to ring a number to get it.
Oh,
Do you want to ring this number?
Yeah. Is it international?
It's an 800 number.
Let's do it. Let's do it.
Okay.
Your idea.
Right,
Your idea.
I shouldn't have brought it up. You enjoyed it so much last time. Right, 800 444 4607 extension 146. If you get to the extension, I'll be impressed.
146. All right, let's hope this isn't a naughty number. So let's. Here we go.
Your call cannot be completed as dialed.
Oh.
Please check the number and dial again.
That's a shame.
Oh.
It's a shame. Sorry, dude. I'm sorry. We're not going to be able to order the version 1.1 system software.
No, I'm afraid not.
Sorry about that.
So, well. Are those floppies? I just took a quick look on Macintosh Garden. I don't know if those are archived anywhere. Those two discs.
I might have archived them. I really hope I have.
Okay.
I will. I've got such a backlog. It's really bad.
Oh, I understand.
Really
I'm just publicly shaming you. That's all.
That's the right thing to do. So we've got user guide editions. We will not go through that because we'll be here all day. Quick reference card, and you'll see the first clue to something interesting we're going to be exploring later.
You got to scan those. That's just drool worthy. Oh my goodness.
Yeah, I really should.
So I think our next episode will just be us archiving and scanning things as we talk, and I have no problem with that.
We've got a warranty, and we've got the quick release notes. I mean, there's a lot of addendums in this. Oh, wait a second. There's an important notice here.
Yeah.
Important. Back up your Silicon Drive before installing version 1.1. You'll be required to initialize the Silicon Drive the first time you reboot after installing 1.1.
What? That's an odd requirement.
So the Silicon Drive is a feature that we will talk about.
Okay, because I'm not familiar.
That is there are multiple features that make these machines bizarro and interesting and different from your run-of-the-mill everyday Mac.
Yeah.
And and there's a whole story attached to the demise of Outbound that relates to that. So what's fun here is this shares something with like I guess IKEA,
Okay.
which is you get an Allen key with it.
Oh.
So, but I can't remember what that's for. But some assembly required. I
Well,
guess.
don't put it in your
Required.
floppy drive.
No, don't. The instructions specifically say that in the floppy drive. Instructions. So we've got a user's guide here. Let's have a quick look. I'll see if there's we've got a little line of Kangas across the top. Very good.
Nice.
There's some nice touches in this. It's good. They're good. And it's like a really nicely designed manual. Now, here's another thing that will give you a clue. Some interesting stuff you did with your
Oh,
Outbound.
yes. Oh, that diagram, I could have used that. Well, I could have you scan it in later.
And this is the Outbound in portable mode. Look at that. It's just sitting on my lap.
Oh, that is cool. It just shows you how your lap is wider than the machine, of course.
So there's loads of weird stuff about the Outbound, which we will go through as I think we'll do when we do a tour of the hardware in a moment. I will try and remember all the weird things it does, because it is super fun. And I'm really sad. I tried turning it on last night and it did not boot. And I don't know what the problem is. And I'll fix that at some point, but not today. But I can talk you through all the fun features. Unfortunately, it means we can't get to that. If I can get it working, we should do an episode with it, because it does some wacky stuff that you can see, and you need the software and hardware all running to be able to see all the wacky stuff it does.
Yeah, this is something that I talked about these machines a little bit not a little bit, but I talked about them in my first clone video. But that doesn't mean I'm done talking about them. There's some fantastic technologies and things that these implemented that Apple actually got later on, and we'll talk about that once you show off some of these cool things.
Oh yeah. There's a little. I mean, I can't remember if you covered it in your video, but there's definitely a little wrap up between Outbound and Apple,
yep.
Which we should definitely cover. So we got loads of goodies in here. So this is really nice. You open it up. I'm just gonna pick up the camera.
Sure.
You open it up and you got your pocket, and there's goodies in this pocket here.
Oh, lovely.
There's goodies in there, and then we've got the machine here. And then we've got some more goodies in here. So I'll just go through it bit by bit.
It's a very, very nice laid out bag, obviously made specifically for, or just very, very luckily manufactured to fit this machine.
Yeah, I mean, it's either custom or something accidentally appropriate. I've already taken the power supply out, but no, that isn't the official power supply, but that's fine. That's a different one. We'll look at that one next machine.
Is that why it's unhappy?
No, I mean, that's the thing. Like, I have an aftermarket power supply, and I did worry that that's the problem, because this one didn't come with a power supply. So, keyboard cable, which you may be familiar with, doesn't normally use that, and we'll get to that. Why that is so later.
Cool. Yeah,
it doesn't normally use that cable. Here is some wacky custom cable. I think this is. So I think this. It's funny, isn't it? It looks like SCSI 2, but small.
Yeah.
So I think this is for the floppy drive, but we'll get to that.
Okay.
This is one of the things that amused me that I completely forgot about until last night when I looked at this again. We've got a Microsoft mouse here, Microsoft branded. Standard, like, that is basically the first Microsoft mouse, isn't it? Pretty much. But we've got ADB on it. ADB cable.
Well, looks like a serial port, actually.
Oh, is that serial?
Yeah, it looks like serial.
Or is it a PS2 mouse and they've just got a PS2 interface on the Outbound?
No, because PS2 has a weird, a little block in the middle, so that's serial.
Oh, okay.
So this is serial. Okay. Who knows?
Okay. Well, someone will figure it out in the chat who's got more time to Google this stuff than me. Look, I'll make it really clear. Can you see that? There we go.
It's not focusing, but it does look like serial, because unless the pins are in a weird shape, but.
Is that focusing too close? Anyway, whatever. Someone will figure it out. And then on the bottom, so Microsoft mouse, but on the bottom, can you see that?
Yes.
It says Outbound Systems.
Wow.
Boulder, Colorado. There you go. So Outbound were the Boulder company. I can't remember if Dynamac was the Boulder one too, but someone in the chat can look that up again. Thank you, everyone in the chat.
They're doing the real legwork here.
Yeah.
But these are hashtag facts anyway, so they don't got to check.
Yeah, exactly. So that's that little goodie box empty, and then we've got some more up here. I'll take them out bit by bit.
This is really a pleasure to look at this machine, I have to tell you, James. Thank you.
Hey, no worries. It's a pleasure to share it, because it's just been sequestered away in my house, and no one has got to enjoy this. So Yeah, and I just find all this stuff so exciting. So here we've got their floppy drive, we've got their branding on it. I don't know who manufactured this or anything. I don't think. Yeah, it's got like their label on the bottom, and yeah, like I thought, this is the cable for this.
Okay.
So
So
there you go, you
there's
can see the
no
socket
built-in floppy drive.
No, no, but that was I believe that was an option.
Okay.
We'll see later that I think the place that the hard drive goes is kind of modular.
Oh, okay.
I don't think it was meant to be for the end user to swap. I think you could buy it with different options, but I can't.
Got it.
Don't quote me on that #fact. So here we have another cable that is like the floppy drive cable. Is it the same? I think it might be the same. Yes, we've got another one of these cables. Okay, and that is for another reason. That is because we have.
And that adapter.
this.
Oh my goodness, is so hard to find.
This. Yeah, this is the thing that I didn't realize. This is rare, and then this turns out this is like unobtainium,
Yes.
which I hadn't realized until I saw some chats a few months ago, maybe related to something you were doing. I can't remember, but so basically, you plug your outbound into this box, and then you plug your Mac into this.
Well, I think
and SCSI. Is that right?
I think what that adapter's for.
Yeah, this is just normal SCSI.
What we were sort of teasing out before is you could plug your outbound into a Mac for a specific reason James will reveal in a moment. But to get the Mac to actually use like a standard SCSI device, you need that adapter. Otherwise, you can't do anything with SCSI because it's that proprietary connector on the side that's facing the camera. That is what the outbound has on it. So you can't plug in SCSI directly to the outbound. You need one of these adapters, and that's why that adapter is so sought after, because a lot of people buy and sell the machines, or they get rid of them or whatever, and that adapter is usually left behind or tossed out.
Yeah. So yes, that's just for SCSI, isn't it? Yeah. So that I think is all the junk. So let's get to the main event.
That's some good junk.
Yeah, it's good, isn't it? It's junk with kangaroos on.
Oh, that's
not to love.
That's a thick one. That's a thick one too.
Oh yeah. Oh,
not as thick as the Dynamac though. I don't think.
No. But
and everyone is drooling over your Lisa that's just flexing in the background.
Oh yeah, whatever. That's just a Lisa 2.
It's
Everyone's got a Lisa 2.
Yeah, it's that's just one of the 5. It's just that's just hanging out there.
I've only ever had 2 Lisas.
That's a prototype. Steve Jobs signed it. That's nothing too important about it.
A friend of mine does have a Lisa 1, and I have got to play on it.
Nice.
And I was like, it was one of those things where I was like, sort of a bit awestruck, and I was like, I don't know what to do. And I was like, I think I opened up the draw program and I just drew a picture of a Macintosh on it because I just couldn't think of anything else to do. Yeah, it turns out they've printed it out and saved it.
Wow,
and I thought it was quite sweet.
My friend Bruce from the Breakfast Creations YouTube channel has been fixing up a Lisa for a client of his, and it's I've never seen one operate. I've seen one in a museum, I think, and I've never really seen one operate, and it's just so strange. I love it. I mean, I don't think I could ever afford one. Not that I would even know what to do with it, but they're confusing.
Yeah, they're confusing because if you're used to a Macintosh, a classic Macintosh, you are you sort of think you know what's going on, but then you realize that you're not quite sure, and everything's a bit weird. It's definitely different.
Yeah.
But yeah, no. I got a pair of Lisa 2s from the same person. I think we talked about it before, maybe on the first show. They were both busted. And I got that one completely working, and the other one I got sort of 70% working, and then I passed it on to another collector.
Oh, nice.
Because I don't need 2 Lisa 2s.
Yeah, yeah.
Someone else can have some joy from that. So anyway, sorry, back to the outbound. Right, okay. The thing about the outbound is it's always quite hard to tell which way is up, but it does have a handy handle up here.
So which model is this? Because I forgot already.
So this is... Wait, where's the label? Is there a label on it? Okay. Oh yeah, it's on the inside. We'll get to that as well.
Okay.
It's kind of got some Transformers-esque features. So this is the outbound laptop system.
Okay.
And they call it a laptop system because of the party tricks it has. So
this
I want you to be able to see what I'm doing.
So this is the first model. The outbound laptop is the very first model. Okay.
Yeah, this is the first one from, what was it, 89? Yeah.
Something around like that.
Something around. Okay, so we've got
Hashtag
these
facts.
clips up here. We've got these clips up here. So I do that, and then I do that.
Okay.
And then this comes off.
Ooh.
This is the keyboard, right? So let's talk about the keyboard to start with. There's a bunch of stuff we can get to the computer later. There's a bunch of stuff about the keyboard alone just to talk about. So, firstly, it is a wireless keyboard. You have an infrared port there, which means that this is why the outbound has to have like 3 batteries, because there's like the battery for powering it, there's the PRAM battery, and then there's the battery for the keyboard as well.
Wow.
And so, and then you've got your flippy uppy feet, of course, got to have them. And then that's where the battery goes in there. And then here we've got a few things going on here. So there's your infrared, and obviously there's a receiver on the outbound itself.
Uh-huh.
And then here we've got another wacky thing. We've got this thing here where that bit pops out. You see that?
So that grips into the outbound.
Yeah, there's a different mode in which if you want them attached, you can basically flip this thing up and then flip it down, and it's like attached to the thing, like sealed in. It's like this weird little metal peg
So
thing.
how does it communicate when it's attached? Is it one of the ports, or is it still IR?
So it can still be IR, but also over here, if you need a backup, if like the batteries run out or something, then you can use this cable here into there, and then there's a port on the back. But it's kind of on the back on the inside, which we'll see. There's like, this is weird what happens with this as well. And then there's this other port here, which I think that, oh yeah.
That might be the
So this
serial.
is the mouse one.
Yeah.
That's the mouse one, which is the serial port. Here, let's just confirm this and bend some pins on the way. No, which way up?
Yeah, so that must be a
Okay, yeah.
Microsoft serial mouse then, and with either
I think.
a fancy cable or just the standard cable, because
Yeah,
I'm
there
not
we go.
familiar. Oh, nice.
Yeah, funny, isn't it? I don't think I've ever used this mouse. I think I completely forgot I had it.
Well, that's
Completely
because the other thing on the keyboard, which is really unique to this, is
Yeah.
Some say it's better than a mouse.
So I wouldn't. So the outbound probably would. So this is they seem to call this different things at different places. Like I've seen it called the ISO point in their manual.
Yes.
And I've also seen it called the track bar.
Yeah.
I think they also call it. So what's happening here? As I don't know if you're going to be able to see this, but basically you can see this dark line here.
Uh-huh.
That is actually and actually you can see the little plastic bit above it. When I move, can you see that moving?
Slightly,
when
yeah.
I move it?
Yeah.
Okay, basically my hand's sliding back and forth, and I can go that far and that far and that far and that far. And there's a little spring at the end as well, so I can kind of push it a little bit further.
So that plastic
And
is moving horizontally.
Yeah, and then also the dark bit in the middle is a roller, and I can roll that. So I can roll. So basically, if you think about a normal mouse, they have the inside. You've got the ball, but then you have 2 little things that track the X, Y, like the up, down, and the left, right. Rollers next to it, and they basically, are like little wheels next to it. But here, you're basically having to do that work of like the X, Y all yourself, and like it sort of works.
Mm-hmm.
But the problem is, what happens is you end up hitting the edge of how far this goes. Because if you move
yeah.
this, it does have acceleration, but if you move this slowly, you end up running. It stops, and you're like, I'm trying to get across the screen. So you kind of have to like zip it back really quick and then move it quicker.
Oh,
like,
because
you
it's
can't have to zip it back and
spring-loaded,
forth.
so it's not like
Yeah,
with the
and-
mouse you can lift your finger up and just move it again.
No,
Wow.
you can't lift this up, and so you can't. It's not continuous. It just ends. So you just keep, and it's like, super annoying. And also the feeling of this sort of across like this is much more free than the kind of rolling. But of course, the rolling can go on forever. So up and down is easy. So it's somewhat flawed, I would say. But the fun thing about this is the whole thing clicks.
Oh,
the whole,
interesting.
you can roll and click it all at once. So can you see the whole
Yeah.
thing is going in
Yeah.
there when I'm clicking?
So that's interesting.
So it is definitely interesting. I wouldn't recommend it.
I
to anyone.
guess if you didn't have a pointer device at all, and it was in its laptop mode, and you didn't have your mouse, you forgot your mouse at home, it'll do.
Yeah, it works. It's just I think you would get very bad RSI very quickly.
Yeah, yeah.
And I didn't enjoy doing it at all. And another thing you'll see here is you turn it on. They had problems with people knowing how to switch the machine on because they've
wow.
printed how to turn it on here. And there's 2 different things. You either press all the cursor keys, turn it on, or if you're in the wired mode, you hold down the option key as well. And
Interesting.
obviously, I was feverishly doing this last night and feeling sad as it wasn't turning on.
You're like, well,
But
maybe
there
I'm
you
not
go.
mashing the keys hard enough. You know. Yeah.
So that's the keyboard. Right, let's get to the machine itself. So we've got an LCD screen here. I'm pretty sure, from what I remember, it's passive matrix, unfortunately. So we should talk about how this differs from the Dynamac.
Mm-hmm.
It is really different from the Dynamac. This is not an Apple manufactured board in here. This is not out of a Mac. There's basically no Macintosh parts in this whatsoever, apart from obviously the crucial ones, the ROMs, and it's all completely custom from scratch.
Wow.
It is a 68,000, but it's actually I think it's a 68HC 000.
Yeah, it's a
a
faster one too. The
Yeah.
From what I understand, this actually beats the a lot of the machines that were out there at the time. And what we'll be talking about, that special cable in a little bit, this will actually enhance a lot more things.
Yeah, and so and you could do lots of different things with this. I think you could put in I think you could maybe put in different
Yeah,
CPUs as an option.
I think
it
there was
got
an
pretty
option at the
expensive.
factory, I think, for a faster CPU. So you have some ports on the side. There's that the SCSI port, or is that the floppy port?
Let's look at the ports. So
Or is it the same?
here are the
Does it
ports.
share the same?
So we've got power there, which is an adapter.
Okay.
And then here's our custom port thing that you can either put the floppy drive in or the SCSI adapter
So
in.
not both at the
and
same
it's
time.
all No, not both at the same time. And I'm just trying to look for icons because I can't. No, there are no icons on it. So that's also through where the little unique feature it has that we were going to talk about. It does. And then we've got modem and printer, and then what I can't remember is what that port is, whether it's video out or something else.
It looks like a VGA, but it could be anything else. I mean, who knows what
The
they
manual.
were thinking of.
I could actually look at the manual, couldn't I?
What's a manual?
That's- so here we go. Here's one of the weird things it does. So this is not in its operating mode yet. Oh, sorry. And we should look at the other side. This is where the hard disk goes, and I think you could get a floppy
Excellent.
disk drive there as well. So let's flip it open. So it has this little Transformers type trick. I have to release 2 catches, and it sort of catches me out every time. Right, here we go. Like this. There we go. Zoop.
Look at that.
Spring loaded, and of course the spring on these is the thing that goes, the spring that holds that.
Oh, jeez.
And then down here, there's a label down there, and I can tell you it says, and a dead spider just fell out.
That's why it wouldn't boot.
Yeah, maybe that was it. Outbound Systems Incorporated, Boulder, Colorado, model 125. It's got the serial number. So at the back here, that's where the wired keyboard connection goes, which they don't encourage you to use. And then down here, we've got obviously the power port, but then over here, under here, I can just show you. Can you see? I'll just bend you down a little bit.
Uh-huh.
So this is where the main battery is.
Oh, okay. What type of batteries? And there's like a...
And so this is, look, you can
Oh,
see
it's
it's a nice
even
branded
branded.
battery.
Ooh.
Yeah, and that is just I'm pretty sure it's just a camcorder battery because that was the cheapest way you could have like a high density battery. And
Yep.
I presumably it's lead acid,
Oh, wow.
which is I assume so. I mean that's what the Macintosh Portable was, and I think that was like kind of the best cheap technology there was at the time for batteries.
Mm-hmm.
And then somewhere under here as well, you put in the PRAM battery as well.
Wow.
Oh, it's under that. That's under this metal plate here.
That is. I mean, those camcorder batteries, we laugh at them now, but they were off the shelf. You know, that was.
Yeah. And actually, a lot of stuff used it. I've got a General Magic data rover, and that also uses a camcorder battery, and it just made
that's a
sense.
whole other video we have to do now. I mean,
Yeah,
jeez.
we'll get there. And there's a lot of stories to unpack around General Magic as well. Oh dear me.
Did you happen to watch that documentary?
I did, and I went to the screening of it in London, and I met Tony Fadell.
Oh, sweet.
And shook his hand, and I showed him my data rover, and he laughed and said, "Wow, I haven't seen one of these for like 20 years."
Wow.
Yeah, that was quite fun.
I'm writing that down. That's another episode we got to do.
I'm totally up for it. I've got a lot to share around General Magic, and loads of interesting people were there. Loads of interesting companies came out of there. Loads of interesting tech came out of there. And obviously, there's the whole swirling problem around, well, not problem, like swirling controversy around, like, them being spun out of Apple and Newton happening at the same time,
Yeah.
and them not knowing about Newton. And
And it was just people
That's good.
people look at that documentary or the facts after those events happened, but you have to remember a lot of people come into this, and the documentary I think makes a good point of it. The internet as we know it did not exist. There was not the internet. There was telecommunications connectivity, and they are
Yeah, and
completely different things.
and I think I think this is the one thing that's, well, I think I'm not a Steve Jobs follower like a lot of people are, but he got a few things really on the money, I think. And like one of his criticisms of Newton when he closed the Newton project at Apple was he was like, look, if I'm using a portable device, I don't want to go back home and then connect it into another computer to then like sync a whole bunch of stuff. I want to be out on the road being able to do my emails, and like the thing that's missing from all these devices is connectivity.
Yeah.
Like it's just not what I want. And he, he's quite arrogant, I think, in lots of ways, but I think he was totally on the money in terms of like those devices did loads of great stuff, but really the killer app is just being connected, like out and about,
and just
it's really that's
and
it.
that was that would come way later on, when you had the ability to actually have wireless service providers that could actually do more than voice.
Yeah, I mean, you could get like the Motorola Envoy or Marco, I can't remember which is the Newton one, that had wireless modem in it, but it was even bigger because it had to have all this extra hardware, and it only ran on like one network that probably only worked in like, I don't know, San Francisco and nowhere else. And there was a couple of other attempts like that, but they were just super expensive and super inaccessible. And like, you're not going to have people buying a cheapo Palm Pilot or General Magic or cheaper Newton device, and then also be able to afford that kind of stuff too. And so, the General Magic device literally has a telephone like RG45 jack in it, and you're like, oh, I've got this great portable device that can go 6 feet from a telephone socket and do I
was no, it was okay. I was perusing the outbound manual while I gently coerced you into that segue, and
you played me.
And it does not. It actually shows the ports on the side, but it conveniently leaves out the port that you have that looks like a VGA port. So I'm like, I'll tell you what page I was looking at because maybe yours differs. But
angry manual time.
Yeah, that's manual time. So I was.
What is this port?
I was looking at. Oh, I scrolled away. Hold on. I was looking at page number 2-5, where it shows about the host connector port, but it doesn't show
host connector port. We're going to talk about that.
But it doesn't. That diagram only it doesn't show anything.
No. Oh yeah. Look at that. We've got 3 things, but there's 4 ports. But they've conveniently not even drawn it.
They're like, you know what? We don't know if we're putting that in. Yeah, that's a.
It's just there, guys. It's just there. What are you doing?
Yeah, so I wonder if that was a late addition, or if they just.
Yeah, that's kind of interesting.
Did you have any like late breaking news documents or anything that was included?
Well, I mean, there's loads, but none of them mentioned that. I don't think.
So, and if anybody in the chat is smarter than we are at the moment, because we're very smart, we just don't know right now. That's our excuse. I'm assuming that's some type of either. I wouldn't strictly say it's VGA out. I would say it's some type of monitor out, maybe like that eMachine style.
Maybe it's another eMachine thing.
But so it could be a serial connection for an old mouse. Who knows? I don't know. That's very curious.
So let's talk about the rest of what's going on with this guy, because he is bizarro. So, like we said, like no Macintosh hardware in here at all. So I wish I could open this up, but even when I've actually tried to maintain it, this is not a fun thing to open up. But basically, it's all custom. It's got like a board with your CPU and everything, and you can stick in quite a lot of RAM, but it can because it's only got early ROMs. I think it can only address 4 megs
Yeah.
maybe of RAM to use as memory. So basically, the rest of it is the thing we've mentioned a couple of times, silicon drive, and basically it's like a RAM disk that isn't like an extra feature. It's kind of like a thing they just did. And so I think the battery might do the backup for that.
Ah.
But obviously that means that you have super fast boots if you've got your OS on the silicon drive. And you could put like, I think up to 16 megs in here. So you can have like a 12 meg silicon drive, which is pretty decent considering like System 6, System 7 era stuff.
Oh, yeah.
And that's one of the other interesting things to do. There's some accelerator cards that had silicon drive stuff as well. I think I've got an 030 card for a Plus or an SE.
Oh, wow.
Where the extra RAM is used as a silicon drive as well.
Yeah,
I think it's a Radius one or something.
I have a Macintosh 128K that was upgraded to a Plus with an add-on adapter. So they basically have Mac Plus ROMs in there, and it can accommodate up to 6 megabytes of memory, but it can't use it. So the extra 2 megs could be like a RAM disk. But I have to speak this out loud because it's hilarious, because it was sort of what I was thinking. But Dana in the chat says this machine looks like the Mac Portable and the Style Rider 1 had a baby.
Oh yeah, it did. I have got a Style Rider 1
yeah,
here.
exactly. That's you can look at front of the shelf, exactly.
If you want your own Outbound, just leave a Star Writer 1 and a Mac Portable in a room alone together overnight.
Yeah, you just have to play some wild eeps, and I think they'll do the rest.
That'll set the tone nicely.
Yeah, just set the mood nicely for them to coerce and propagate.
Interface. So
you need the right SCSI adapters. You need the right terminators. You need to make sure the right cables are set up. Oh my God.
A whole lot of I/O. Right. Enough of that, Steve.
Oh,
Enough.
Lord.
There was too much of that last time. So we've got down a couple of the weird features, but I think the main event in terms of weird features is I'll show it in the manual. I think this is the most interesting thing about this.
Oh yeah.
And you touched upon it already. So here we've got Outbound in desktop mode, right? And there's more.
Can you just shove that logo onto the camera for a little bit so people could try and comprehend the madness that this is? No, that's okay. Just burn that into your retinas, folks. This is important.
So they aren't just hanging out.
They are interfacing.
They are what? They are they really, really are interfacing. So where did your ROMs come from to make your Outbound like official and work? Well, if you already owned a Mac, you'd be like, hey, I've got this Mac, but there's this way cooler thing called the Outbound on the block, and I want to be able to get on planes and go to high-flying business meetings. And so you would get your Outbound, and you would take your Mac to your dealer, and they would take the ROMs out of your SE or whatever and stick them in your Outbound, basically. And that would turn your Outbound to your full Mac. But the great thing was Outbound were like, well, what if people are kind of bummed that they've now got this SE that they spent all this money on, they can't do anything with?
Yeah, it's essentially a paperweight without the ROMs. Yeah,
exactly. So what it did was you used this thing, and this is the thing that there's actually a couple of things here to talk about, but this thing here, which I've never seen anyone do, because I think we've talked about this. No one's ever found this, so it's explained here. I'll read this to you. Host connector card and cable. The Outbound laptop system includes a host connector card and cable for either a Macintosh Plus or an SE. Your dealer installs a host connector card and cable in your Macintosh when you purchase your Outbound. At the same time, your dealer removes the ROM chips from your Macintosh and installs them in your Outbound. The host connector card and cable can be removed and the ROMs reinstalled in your Macintosh by your dealer. So basically, you can reverse it back quite easily. When your Outbound is connected to your Macintosh through the host connector cable, you have complete access to the system RAM and disk drives installed in both computers. Wow. So what basically happens is that your Outbound is kind of in charge. It's like a sort of weird symbiotic parasitical thing going on where your Outbound's in charge.
But it's mutually beneficial.
Yeah, and so this is what this control panel probably tells you everything you need to know. So here, you can see like what happens. So these are all the options you can have. So basically, you can basically have a dual screen setup. So you can have you can use just your when they connect together, you can use just your outbound screen, or you can use just your Mac screen, or you can use both, and and you can have one or other as like the primary screen as well, and basically you could use your SE but with the faster CPU of the outbound, and you could, your hard disk and your disk drives and your SE and your screen, everything you're still able to use. I think you could even use your keyboard and mouse and everything,
Wow.
but you're using the CPU and ROMs that are in the outbound. So there's this like mad
Yeah, you could
parasite thing
do
going
this
on.
screen spanning, right? So that you could actually have
Yep.
the SE
Yep.
CRT be part of this expanded
Yep.
display, which was, I mean, think about this in 19 whatever this was, in the late 80s. You have a machine that you could basically plug into this Mac, and oh my goodness.
But what is interesting is, as far as I know, and as far as anyone I've spoken to, no one has ever seen the host connector card. No one has ever seen an outbound doing this with a Mac, interfacing with a Mac.
I've seen a photo, a single photo on. So
have you got it?
no, I have when I did the clone video, I found some photos. So I've been doing that clone. I was researching that clone video for years, and one of these systems was on eBay. And so eBay is terrible, as you know, because once the auction's gone, they remove all the photos and blah blah blah.
Yeah.
So I
man.
snagged all the photos, and I didn't save the page
They're just somewhere,
because I was
are they?
just interested with the photos. So
Okay.
I showed the photos in the video, but it was from one of the Apple museums that actually took the photos for that. They sold it off or they bought it or whatever. And so after I did the video, they were saying, well, it would have been nice if you credited us for the photos. And I said, well, they were on eBay. I didn't know it was you. You know, that was
Oh, wow, really?
Yeah,
Oh,
yeah,
no.
so I mean, it's like, look, as far as I consider, if you post something on eBay, that's public.
Yeah,
But
you're done.
if I knew it was them specifically, I would have given them credit for it. But what was interesting is they did show one of the screens on the outbound that says plug this into plug whatever. So from
nice.
what I understand, and you correct me if I'm wrong here, but the outbound has that connector there, for that what looks like a large AAUI port, but it's not.
Yeah.
And then they have to install a special card into the Macintosh SE or Plus, and that special card plugs into the ROM sockets and then is fished through somewhere. And that card has the other end of that weird connector there. That's on the. Well, let me switch the screen here so people could see it. That is the bottom port of that outbound. And so essentially, that invention that Outbound created allows you to not just have your Mac sitting there as a lobotomized system without its Mac ROM brain. You could actually plug into that, and you could utilize that. Now, what's interesting is, do you have a Macintosh SE or Plus that has that interface in there?
That's the thing. I don't know anyone who knows.
Yeah.
Who's ever seen that card, has that card. I would love that host card. I'd love to try this. The closest I've got to this is the other thing they invented that's a bit wacky, which I think is kind of the last piece of the story here, really, which is obviously using this box. You need this box, but basically you can plug this into a Macintosh with this. Mm-hmm. So it's not doing the host thing. Uh-huh. But you can do hard disk target disk mode.
Oh, the SCSI disk mode, whatever it's called. Yeah.
So and they invented the SCSI target disk mode, right? And when they went out of business, I can't remember where I read this. Again, #facts. I'm pretty sure this is true. I'm fairly sure that Apple actually bought a bunch of their patents and assets. And that's why I think the PowerBooks got the hard disk target disk mode, because they picked that up for the PowerBooks. Because obviously it meant you could really quickly dock your PowerBook if you had a desktop machine at home and synchronize files and move stuff over really quickly.
I think there were. So when I read that, I first thought PowerBook Duo. They bought the docking technology hardware to do something like the PowerBook Duo, but SCSI docking makes complete sense. And if they did invent that, then that is something that Apple would have been very excited to use.
And actually, I think it's on my Twitter. I know you. Last time you did a really good job of finding one of my Twitter posts.
Let's
But I think,
hold on. You're putting in my spot. Let's go.
but I think I shared my photo from when I first got this machine. Like I don't know. Yeah, I mean, the tweet is not from years ago, but the photo is from years ago of me doing the interface, and you get like a fun graphic on the screen of it's like I think it's like a Mac and the Outbound, and maybe like a little kangaroo going in between them or something.
Yes. I stole that pic. Well, I didn't intentionally steal it, but I appropriated that photo as I showed it in my clone video. But it is.
Oh, it is in your video.
I believe
Brilliant.
so.
That's good.
Let's.
I have seen your video, but I don't remember seeing that.
Well, who knows? Maybe it was on the cutting room floor, which is somewhere around my ankles at this point. But let's see if I could.
If you can,
if I could do a.
Is it on my
search.
Twitter?
Well, let's.
The other thing I can do is like do a live search of my photos.
This is what people come here to see. This is exactly.
Yeah, this is great. I'm just gonna scroll through all my photos while you guys just chat amongst yourselves.
Is it your Instagram or your Twitter?
I think it was on my Twitter.
Okay.
I think.
So
I think it was on my Twitter.
the interesting thing about the Outbound here is obviously that connector. So the connector on the other side of the Mac, whether it's the Plus or an SE, that's where it gets the ROMs from. So you're saying, have you ever got this machine to boot up from the OS without that? I assume no.
So this came with ROMs in it.
Oh,
it was
okay.
all set up. Yeah. So I mean, this was all. You know, I bought this from someone who'd used it for a few years.
So
actually, do you know what?
So,
I'm wondering now if this was my second one, and this is because there's a chap that I've bought loads and loads and loads and loads and loads of stuff off. In fact, I bought another thing off him last week, and I think this came from him. And I think I already had a 125, but it was missing a bunch of stuff, and so I got this one instead and sold the previous one. But we're talking about a period of my life where my memory is very hazy.
Yeah, so I'm just genuinely curious because from my okay, yeah, never mind. I see. I had this backwards in my head for a second because the ROMs are in the Outbound system.
Yeah.
They are not
ROMs
in
are
they are not in the SE or the Plus. Exactly what you said 15
They
minutes
stay in the
ago, and I'm
Outbound.
just
Yeah, that's all right. It's fine. I think when you're doing this, you're like thinking about so many things at once. It's quite hard to remember
yes.
what has been said. I'm just trying to find this picture. Oh, man.
So you could use the machine assuming it wanted to turn on correctly and everything, but the ability to plug that in to do its magic in a sort of expanding the capabilities of both systems and utilizing both memory and all that stuff.
I can't do that.
That is unfortunately what is lacking. Now, I would assume, and this is just making an assumption here, that if one was clever enough, they could probably reverse engineer one of these cable doohickeys and get that to work. But,
I would hope so.
But
and the problem, I guess, part of the problem is like knowing how many parts of the host Mac it interfaced with. Because like, was it just the ROMs but it claims that it's like using kind of all the components. So presumably it's got to interface with more than ROMs. It's got to be on the SE. It's got to interface with the PDS.
Oh, and here's
and like get into all the systems.
I found a photo from my YouTube, so we're just gonna shamelessly let me move my banners around here.
Oh yes,
let me
stick it in.
Yeah, let's see how we could do this. Let's see how fancy.
Have you found my picture?
I didn't find your picture. You could keep looking.
Found something else.
Okay.
I've completely failed to find my picture.
How dare you?
I'm sorry.
All right, so I'm gonna put this on screen here. Let's see.
Oh, and sorry, did I show the floppy disks from the manual before I put this away? Does anyone want to see the floppy disk?
Let me put you on full screen here. There we go.
Just quickly. So there was a guided tour, which I can't remember anything about. I'm really sorry.
That's probably a wicked hypercard stack.
Yeah, I'm sure it is, and I've definitely got to archive that, and it's criminal of me to have not done that.
How dare you, James?
It says, and this speaks to the kind of weirdness of the Outbound. On it says, requires an Outbound laptop screen or larger. When docked, move the menu bar to the Outbound screen for proper viewing. So there you go. I mean, the docking thing was just standard. Like, that was how the system worked. And then that's just its custom software. So it has like a whole bunch of extensions and control panels that are custom to Outbound, in case anyone's wondering. So you can configure like the Silicon drive, the screen sharing, the host stuff, all of that kind of stuff.
That is...
And the SCSI target display.
That is neat. And I will have a link here I'm going to put in the chat. There is a website, applerouters.net. And this guy has an Outbound just like you. and he has the floppy drive, the SCSI, all these fancy things, and he also has an outbound notebook, which is the later model. So I'm just
yes,
going to put it.
we'll get onto that in a sec.
So the reason I'm pasting the link in here is this the guy has at the very bottom of the screen, he has a photo of both outbounds and the Dynamac side by side. So
Oh, nice.
this guy has some great scans that he did as well of some of the advertising material. I highly recommend anybody check out that link. I just pasted it in the chat there. I did show some of those photos and tag that individual during my clone video. And what's nice is it does show you some of these marketing images of this thing in action with both of them being plugged in at the same time. So
Oh, nice.
So I'm gonna switch to my clone video here in a second because the same photos are in there. We're gonna get sort of a double Steve here for a moment, but let's see if I could rewind. There we go. So let's try and fix this so the screen is not as taking up as much room. Hold on. Very very fancy here. So can you tell us yours doesn't work right now, right? It's not turning on.
Yeah, I don't know what's going. So, and the batteries are like, the keyboard battery is a very weird one where actually the way around the fact that it's very hard to find is you can use two of another size battery in there. So yeah, there's like, basically, unfortunately, there's kind of a bit of a laundry list of things that could be wrong with it, but hopefully they're just minor things.
So,
and I remember when I first got it, it was grumpy anyway.
So hopefully a recapping fixes that. Somebody said the audio went out for a second, so when I pulled in the YouTube thing, I broke something. So, but now the audio's back. But basically, James was explaining that right now his does not turn on. There's an issue with it turning on. And the problem being maybe caps related, but we're not sure. So that's an investigation for another video. Hopefully you saw the image on the screen just before. I won't do it again because the audio will probably screw up. But essentially, it's a lovely little type. Well, here let me add a new source onto our thing because I know the audio works on this window, so we won't screw that up. But essentially, there is a way to connect these machines and be mutual beneficial of both of them, and that's what James was talking about a little bit before. So let me smash this onto the screen there we go. And so right there you can see both of them.
Oh, yeah.
So that is pretty cool.
I've got that catalog.
See, you're holding out on this. You're making us do it the hard way.
I just forgot. I've got that.
I love that though. Good, better, best. So that is pretty cool. And you have you see that image on the top left of both of the machines working with an expanded screen resolution. So let me see if I could zoom this in even more. Yeah, just a little bit there. So that is really neat. I mean that is something really cool. And James is futzing around trying to find it. Let's see.
I am. I'm sorry. I'm trying to remember which of my many places I have catalogs it is in, but maybe I should not.
That's okay.
Not do that right now.
Hey, I'm fine with that. It's a really cool catalog. It's
Where is it?
Oh,
I think it's.
And we have the Apple Museum folks in the chat there, James.
Oh really?
Yes. Take a look.
Oh wait.
Wave.
I found it because I'd written a label on the edge of the binder because past me is amazing. Oh yeah, Apple Museum. Yes, he's a very nice man.
So I think he was the individual I inadvertently used the images from in my clone video. So,
I see.
So see, we were just talking about how that
From
was
an
accident, and I apologize, but formally apologize on the video. But no intentional image swiping was was intentional, I guess. But you have an excellent setup there, an excellent social media presence and everything. You have been properly tagged in the addendum section. But thank you for stopping by. It's lovely to have you here. So thank you.
I mustn't go off on one bit. This is some of my real goodies are in here. I've got an Apple catalog,
Oh wow.
and then some of the stuff that I'm most excited I like the most is I've got a couple of different Lisa brochures in here as well.
Oh, what does that say?
Which are
Personal
really nice.
computers will never.
Oh, sorry. Oh yeah, sorry. Let me hold it up.
Oh,
It
that's
would be
cool.
the same again.
Oh, look at those Twiggy drives.
Yeah, let's just have a quick look while we're here. Why not?
Well, we
Why
have
not?
to. We have to. It's
So,
an obligation.
there we go. Introducing Lisa, the first personal computer to work the way you do.
That is cool.
And there's someone using it in their cool 80s purple office.
with no lights on at all. No light. Very
Yeah.
good for the eyes.
I want to be in that picture. And yes, I mean Lisa 1, absolutely beautiful machine. And you needed to put a really tall vase of flowers next to it if you were going to have a proper setup, really.
Yeah, don't spill the water on the Lisa.
The person who sold me their pair of Lisa 2s had just the most amazing collection of everything.
Wow.
They'd kept everything. Like I've got the receipt here, like from what they bought and everything. Like they kept everything, receipts and everything, and they had all these brochures. This brochure is even cooler. If I'm right, I'm remembering. Oh yeah. So you can't quite see it, but there's kind of a spot varnish of all these dots, and these dots are like. It's very difficult to see.
Oh, I see. Yeah.
Can you see? Yeah, and the whole everything to do with the Lisa graphic design, all the manual. I've got the manuals over there, and we can look at them another time. But there's it's incredible aesthetic. It's like so 80s and futuristic, and they had all these like grid dots on it and like abstract patterns and
Wow.
stuff, and it went through all the marketing. It was really beautiful. But look at this. How cool is this?
Oh, that's a desktop right there. That's a
For
desktop
fans of
background.
pink and purple.
I
Yeah, it's so good.
can you adjust that slightly? Just a
Oh,
bit.
sorry, because of all the
Yeah,
light.
no. Just it's my heart is beating fast, so we just have to. Oh, that is beautiful. That is fantastic. Look at that.
How's that for you?
That is great.
And then well, there's like a bunch of. Oh yeah. So here's that picture, but big.
Oh, that's cool.
There we go. And then this is gatefold, man.
Ooh. Look at the mouse in action. Ooh.
And there's an office just full of Lisas and Macs and Lisas. I need that. And there's a horrible dot matrix printer for you down there, Steve.
Oh yes, that must be an Apple dot matrix or one of the concoctions.
Would have been one of the early ones, yeah. And it's just oh yeah, there we go. There's the couple of printer options you had.
Oh wow.
Um,
Does it say
and
which
all the specs are in
which
the
one
back.
those are?
Printer breakthrough. With its dot matrix and daisy wheel printers, Lisa prints finished materials with which no similarly priced system can begin to match. So we've got. They're just talking about how high resolution and amazing they are, but they don't have the names.
Wow.
But yeah. So there's the Lisa brochures that I got distracted by while looking for the Outbound one, which I've got in front of me now. So we can look at it actually in person, although I'm the only person who gets to look at it in person.
We'll live through you, James.
Yeah, you can live through me. So here's this guy. He's very pensive. He's got the keyboard attached, so he's flipped that little switch to make the little metal prong come out. And
Does he have the fancy port on the top? Can you see?
He does.
Oh.
He has all the ports.
Well, there you go.
So it's funny that whole port thing, isn't it? And then this is the back. We've got the specs and another nice photo.
Oh, maybe it says the port on there.
Let me have a look. Interfaces: printer port, communications port, host adapter / expansion port (brackets) provides interface to host Macintosh, an optional SCSI adapter cable, and optional external floppy drive. Here we go. External LCD port.
Oh, okay.
I remember now. They made their own LCD monitor.
Oh,
There is an Outbound monitor, and they sold it. They did sell it like in a tiny numbers right before they went bust.
Wow.
They did. There was an outbound LCD screen. Yeah. So there you go.
Wow. And we are getting.
And I know this because I found an advert for it somewhere, which of course I cannot recall at all now, but maybe on Ancient Mac World or something.
That's excellent. Yeah, because
Yeah.
it must be some. I was guessing video or something, but
Here we go.
I would assume that's not standard VGA, unfortunately.
No, probably not. I think it's their own thing. Good. A Macintosh.
Mhm.
Better.
Oh,
Best.
that is cool. That is awesome.
So there we go. And then we've got the host Mac here thing going on.
Oh, that is
interfacing.
so cool.
And they've got it on some weighing scales. and there it is in a briefcase, which must be quite a hefty briefcase, with a copy of Portable Computer magazine and a US passport.
Wow.
And there's the board. That's really hard to show you. Sorry.
That's okay.
There's the circuit board inside.
Oh,
Sorry,
yeah,
that's
that
really-
custom board.
Can you see that?
Yeah.
At all? Yeah. And it says, Outbound's unique docking technology starts with the installation of interface card and docking cable. Oh, that's the card.
Oh, that's that.
Wait, I think that's the actual.
Or maybe that's the secondary board. Something like that.
It looks a lot like a PDS connector on it.
Wow.
Starts with the installation of interface card and docking cable in your Macintosh. When you dock the Macintosh to the Outbound, the two machines operate as one, but with more speed, more screen area, more memory, and more storage than your Macintosh had before. Undock the two machines and you're ready to hit the road. So it was quite a duo dock idea,
Yeah.
but like a bit crappy,
Yeah.
but like kind of awesome for 1980.
I mean, that's
whatever.
with the PDS slot. So then that particular one must have
This is
been
1990.
So that must have been for the SE. They must have forgot. They must have said, "Who cares about
Yeah.
the Plus anymore?" We're just. I mean,
Yeah.
there was a solution I know for the Plus, but obviously the
Yeah.
focus from this period of time was no. This is
Totally.
this is all we care about. The SE is the new one. The Macintosh Plus is the old system.
Yeah.
We don't care about that anymore. So that
Right, I'm going to put my brochures away, or I'll end up looking through them all.
No, that's okay.
It's a terrible habit of mine.
So
sort of
I
distraction.
think what we'll have to do for one of our episodes again is we're going to both have big noisy scuzzy scanners on our desk, and and we'll just be scanning in pamphlets and art and documents and things, and we'll have a scanning party. That's because
the only scanner I got is the original Apple scanner, which is not good.
That's the only scanner you have in your whole house.
Yeah,
Really?
that's it.
Really?
Yeah,
You don't have a printer
Yeah.
with one built in or anything?
no, just have a crappy laser
Oh.
printer and a like 1990 Apple scanner.
Okay, we have to start a fund here to buy James a decent scanner because it's a crime.
I do. My friend with the Lisa One, he is much better at archiving stuff than me, and he did archive. He's got a nice document scanner, and he archived. I've got a big manual that was for the original sales teams for Macintosh.
Oh, cool.
And it's got all like how to sell Macintosh. It's really thick, and it's because it's trying to teach the salespeople like what's unique and different and new about the Macintosh, and how do you sell it to people.
Uh-huh.
And it is hilarious. It's got loads of like salespeople techniques, and it has loads of like scripts for like if a conversation is going like this is how you basically get them to buy a Macintosh.
Yeah.
Like, and if it's going like that, that's how this type of person will buy a Macintosh. And it is hilarious. And he scanned the whole thing in. I think he's put it on BitSavers
Oh,
or
excellent.
archive.org.
Yeah, they have
it's all
so much
scanned.
cool stuff.
Yeah, he's still got it because of course can't just go and pick it up.
Yeah, well,
But,
I think Stormcrash has an excellent idea. You could fax things to me.
Oh, good point. Let's just do that. Oh, and by the way, I had something to say earlier. What was it? Now I'm trying to tech and music. I think that makes a lot of sense. Tech and music says if it acts like a ROM-less Mac, when obviously the Mac you would have docked to your Outbound, then no surprise that people would have thrown them away because it wouldn't have booted.
Yeah.
They would have been like, oh, this is a busted Mac. So the problem is, it's an amazing Mac with this interesting technology in
yeah.
it. Looks broken.
With that special card and everything, and
Yeah, and so they probably just got left on street corners, and
I mean, I have
all the sad things.
a few pluses and SEs that won't turn on. Wouldn't it be funny if there's a card inside there and I just don't even notice?
Mate, time to go and look right now.
All right,
Quick,
let's
I can see the background. Go.
8 hours later. Yeah.
Should we get on to the next outbound?
Yes, please. Sorry, I'm.
So remember how nice the condition of the last bag was? This one has like spider poop and mold and stuff. This is not from my storage of
But
it. This
but
is
it's
how it came
but
to
it's
be.
still an outbound bag, so you can't get rid of it.
Yeah. Genuine outbound bag.
Because I have
There you
a
go. But this-
Mac user magazine bag, and it is awful condition, but I can't throw it away.
No, just the sentimentality is our main weakness, Steve. I think.
Yep.
So what have we got in here? We've got it's only got this one manual, the outbound notebook system. So we had the laptop system.
And this is
the
the
notebook system, and user's guide. So had something stuck to the front at one point. Don't know what that's going on there. And this is the best bit. Coffee mug on the title page. Coffee mug mark there.
Authentic.
Yeah, proper used. So I'm not sure. So this machine is a lot less interesting, but I mean, look, the overview of the system is just like, here's a computer. There's no like crazy interfacing going on or
So
anything
does
like that.
this one doesn't have any interfacing, correct? Or can it?
Yeah. You have the only things you have, I think you have the silicon disk. I don't know if you have the target disk mode, but you definitely have the silicon disk. And then processors are a bit weird. We've got minimum of a 68 HC000, which I think is what the portable had as well, which is the low power 68K, but it's a 20 megahertz one, which is, I think, faster than the portable. I think the portable is 16. But you could also have 030 series CPUs and either a 68 EC030 or a standard 030, and this is the 2030 model, which means it has an 030 in it. But I'm not sure if it's a EC030 or a full 030.
Interesting.
And we've got the brilliant what used to be called the ISO point, and they're now calling the track bar pointing device.
Oh, okay.
Both trademarks that they owned. And then had an internal microphone, which you didn't get microphones that much on computers those days. Blah blah blah. Input output port. Yeah, there's nothing clever going on here. I think so. The optional accessories, you can get additional system RAM. You might have a coprocessor, a 68881, and everything else is just like other add-ons. Okay, so here we go. It did have the SCSI feature, and what they're calling it here is SCSI Emulator. I'll read this bit out for you.
Sure.
SCSI Emulator, software that enables any or all of the outbound notebook system's disk drives, hard, floppy, or silicon, so you could access even the floppy drive over SCSI, to appear as SCSI volumes on the desktop of any connected Macintosh. It allows the Macintosh to read and write to the drives on the outbound directly for fast data transfer. Now you can carry your most important files in the outbound and use them on the road or in the office without tedious file copying. So basically, again, like it is the docking thing, but like much simpler. Like you've got your Mac on your desk, but you want to go out on the road. It's like, well, just keep everything on your outbound. And then when you get back to the office, you don't use your Office Mac's own hard disk, you do, but just to boot into.
Yeah.
But all your files are on your outbound, and you can even say like, screw it, I don't want to use my Mac's floppy drive, I'll use the outbound floppy drive, which seems slightly over the top, but so yeah, that's it. I mean, there's besides that interesting SCSI emulator technology, like there's nothing exciting going on here. But we've got another Mac that isn't manufactured by Apple in any way at all. There's no Apple Macintosh parts in this whatsoever, apart from, again, you had to get the ROMs from somewhere. And this time it's a little less clear where you get them from, because like before it kind of made sense to be like, okay, fine, I'll just have a Mac that I can only use when I've got my outbound.
Yeah.
That's fine. But in this case, it's like really not sure. There's a mouse in here, by the way, which I think gives away how good the ISO point trackbar thing is.
And that is substantially smaller as well.
Yeah, so we've got something a lot more that's like sort of laptop size. And then we've got something. I've got a Duo over here. Give me a sec,
Sure.
and you can compare size. I've got a Duo 250 that sadly does not work since I bought it, and I'm bummed about that because 250 is probably my favorite Duo. So pretty much same footprint, same depth, same width, but height-wise, we're looking at something that is about 50% fatter than a Duo,
Wow.
which is not too bad. Not too bad. It's got a floppy drive in it after all. Weight-wise,
I
pretty heavy.
totally forgot there was a Duo 250. I knew the 210 and the 230 because I had the 230. I completely forgot that the 250 was essentially a 230 but with an active matrix display.
Exactly.
So,
i.e. the best Duo.
yeah.
Yeah, sorry, go on.
No. I love that was the first laptop that I had. There was a place, a museum, the Liberty Science Center by us here in New Jersey, where you could essentially donate junk and you got points. And once you accumulated enough points, you could get something from their like Boneyard. And it was a PowerBook Duo with
cool.
the Duo dock, I think. And then I got a Duo dock from my father's old office, and none of them worked. But between the two, we got one to work, and that was like my thrill is like, I have a laptop. This is amazing, and I gave that original one away. I still know the guy who has it, so I got to ask for it back one of these days. But it's
this where I think I admitted this on a previous OpenTalk, but I think this is where I say my Duodock. I chucked a Duodock and I think a 1710 AV, and I don't know if I gave them to someone or whether I chucked them, which I might have. I know.
For shame.
And they were like perfect condition.
Oh!
I kept the Duo 2300
okay.
That they came with, but yeah, I think I.
Well,
yeah,
we've all done things. We've all done things where we gotten rid of things or tossed.
It was a
out,
really long time ago, right?
Yes.
When this stuff really like no one placed any value on all this crap.
Yep.
So right, okay, here we go. Let's have a look through this. So here's the front. So on the front we've got our latches. These are some lights that's like a power light. There's a I think that's AC, and then there's a battery charging light as well. So basically it's just like a bunch of weird power stuff going on there. And then we've got the floppy drive here, and then battery we've got a camcorder battery basically in there. And it's not a branded one like the other one. It's just some aftermarket one that someone's added. Here, this is funny. It's got, can you see this little scoop here? Yeah. It's got like metal in it. You could basically put a shoulder strap through these two loops here.
Oh.
So you could like tote it along and be like, I'm so cool. I got my app-bound notebook system. And then power goes in there. This here, behind here, is basically the main circuit board with the
ROM and the memory.
CPU and memory. Yeah,
okay.
Exactly. Because obviously, like, you're going to be putting in the ROM aftermarket, right, after the factory. So the dealer wanted to be able to get to that easy. So that slides out and has CPU, memory, and ROM on it, exactly.
And what's the sticker on the bottom? I'm sorry.
Oh.
What is it? I'm just curious what that said.
So we've got the outbound notebook system there, and then here, this says Bailey Controls Company asset tag number.
Okay.
So this is clearly some sort of company computer.
Neat.
Yeah, I like the placement of this sticker. It's nicely done.
Yeah.
Someone who understands graphic design did that. But yeah, this is the kind of important port. I think, it's got screws behind it. I mean, we could open it up.
No, it's okay. And then you have ports on the back, I guess.
Here we've got the normal ports. So we've got some icons on this one this time. So nothing exciting. Sound, modem, printer, ADB, and then SCSI.
So you have built-in SCSI, yeah. The proper SCSI.
Yeah, so you don't need to do any weird silliness with having to have some adapter that everyone loses to like do your SCSI emulation or target disk mode. And I think, we said, didn't we, what happened with that? Apple bought it and basically put it in the PowerBook.
Yeah.
So
can you tilt your
Oh yeah.
Sorry, I hate to ask you.
No. You need to direct me. I'm merely your guest. Right. So here we go.
Look at that.
Nothing exciting to see, unfortunately. Sorry. It's like. Sorry. Let's get a better shot. There we go. So there's nothing exciting about this computer whatsoever. But we've got the isobar track thing. This time the sort of roll bar bit is about twice as thick, and you can't click it.
Okay.
You've got a button either side, so here and here. I think they do the same thing.
And it's interesting because these do not have palm rests. These were before Apple and a few others basically decided, well, this is sort of awkward typing like this, And so
Yeah, they basically invented the palm rest thing, and it was
yeah,
great because you put the floppy drive under one side and the hard disk under the other side. It just made, the battery under one side and the hard disk on the other, and it just made total sense.
yeah,
Um, and no one figured it out until Apple did. Pretty much, I think, they were pretty smug about it. There's a really good video. It must be on YouTube of the introduction of the PowerBooks, and they talk about everything that was terrible about the portable,
yeah.
and how they switched it all around, and everything that's good about the PowerBook. And I sort of think, yeah, you could be kind of smug about that. To be honest, you'd be pretty pleased because you're sort of saying everyone's been doing this wrong, and like it's quite hard to argue with what they're saying.
Yeah, and it's interesting because before you said the Macintosh Portable was the same way. Visually, I can't picture a keyboard like that just at the edge. You know how a lot of the early systems work because a lot of
it's like so
yeah, because a
awkward.
lot of the MS DOS laptops that were out at the time and all this stuff, there were no palm rests, and people easily forget that. That's
Yeah.
I mean, I have an early Toshiba laptop that's like that. The keyboard's very very much at the edge there, but I mean, it just shows you this was released. I think this was announced. I'm stretching my memory here. This was announced either like just before the PowerBooks or was released just before the PowerBooks were announced.
It's like 91-ish.
Yeah,
I'm
it
pretty
was
sure
it was
of
a
that.
few weeks or a few months. It was very very close, but
And they got absolutely slaughtered
it's
by the PowerBook.
exactly, and it's interesting to just see the complete difference. There was just a corner turned,
Copyright 1990, 1991
Yeah, wow.
by Outbound. So there you go. And yeah, they just it's just like you can see like when the PowerBooks came out, the engineers and everyone at Outbound must have been like, oh right,
Yeah,
okay,
yeah. Because I mean, they were trying to make a portable Macintosh, and they did some pretty innovative things, like the ISO point and,
they worked
and
really
the
hard
docking
on
and
this.
everything.
Like,
But
yeah.
then you come out with Apple saying, "Well, here's an official one."
Yeah, and that's the thing. I feel like they must have all known they were on borrowed time, right?
Oh,
and when
yeah.
the portable came out and it was so the wrong thing, they were probably all like, "Oh, phew, okay, we've got another couple of years," and they did. But then the PowerBooks were just brilliant,
Yeah.
just absolutely brilliant. It was properly good. So shall I turn it on?
Yes, please.
This one worked, or at least it worked last night.
Don't jinx
Find
it.
out. I think you can press. I think like the portable and the PowerBook 100, which is basically PowerBook 100 is basically a Macintosh portable, but less silly. Redesigned by Sony to be smaller. So I think you just press a key. I think any key? No, didn't turn on. Oh, okay. There we go. We got the kangaroo. Can you see that?
I saw it a little bit.
You can't-
I heard a
I can
heard a
see
loud buzz, and it scared me.
It's like. This is like a really bad screen, by the way. And what I had to do last night, I couldn't see anything, and I realised that can't see its hard disk. It's thinking.
Yeah, all I see is black,
Question.
but it's probably just the angle.
It's very very faint. There we go. We've got welcome to Macintosh now. So it hasn't remembered its settings, obviously.
Okay.
PRAM battery. So yesterday I was a bit like, oh no, the screen's like busted or something, and actually. I just have to go in and play with the contrast and brightness, and then you'll be able to see it.
And so
I think there are some of the custom
done via software, the contrast and brightness, or is
yeah, it's all in software. Which of course, like the first PowerBooks actually had the controls here and here, didn't they?
Yeah.
But the portable had software brightness, but then the first PowerBooks, I don't think any of them.
Yeah, the
but
PowerBook
put that
100
back.
had the knobs on the bottom because I know that, and then
Yeah.
the 140.
It's a slider,
yeah,
isn't
they're
it,
the
up
sliders. Yeah, so the PowerBook 100
Yeah.
had knobs. I don't have a PowerBook 100, but I've seen photos of it. And then
I
the
have a soft spot for that machine.
yeah, and then the early models
a
have
few
the
of them.
sliders. Oh, that's cool. Oh,
Oh, it burped.
it burped.
It burped. It's annoyed because it says here the battery is extremely discharged. Yeah, I mean, it's like an ancient battery.
Yeah.
Being slowly trickle charged. Please leave your universal power supply connected for at least 12 hours. It's been in for 24 hours. And it's made no difference whatsoever.
Of course.
This is a dead battery.
You need a new
I-
camcorder battery.
So at least now I can show you how bad these are. Look, this is like, okay, let's see if, you won't be able to see the cursor. So let's get the brightness up and then you can see the cursor. I've just got to remember which control panel it is. So they've got a few custom control panels. Here we go. I think if I turn this
Now,
up.
was this software
really
that was already on the hard drive?
Yeah.
So
was all
have
on
you
already.
copied it off anywhere?
Oh my
Or
god.
are you on borrowed time as well with the hard drive?
I'm just not going to listen to anything you say. I'm just not listening.
I'm adding that to the list. Don't worry, we have some to-do
That's fine.
list.
Right, can you Is this visible now? Maybe.
Yeah,
If I move my camera.
yeah, if you move the camera a bit, maybe because it is the
There we
contrast
go.
is much better. Now, are you able to?
How's that?
Are you able to tilt it so it's sort of? I mean, it would be very awkward for you to operate it, but can you?
Okay, let's try. Oh.
Oh,
I'm a
that's
professional.
fine.
No, I'm not.
That's fine.
I never claimed to be a professional.
No, neither do I.
Right.
That's what we have in common.
How is that?
Oh, that's fine.
Also, is that the right way around as well?
yeah, yeah. We can see it
not
perfect.
reversed.
No, it's not.
Brilliant.
So that's
Brilliant.
that's
Okay.
its little notebook
So-
control panel.
So this is the kind of main control panel you get given the custom thing, and you can see like we've got various power saving things. So this is very familiar to anyone who uses a PowerBook. That's basically all the same stuff that PowerBook has around CPU standby. So that's like a low power mode, spinning down the hard disk, turning off the backlight, system sleep, and then we've got brightness and contrast. And then up here you see this little question mark. This is where you can find out kind of the configuration.
Oh, great. So this I
and so-
assume has SE ROMs in it,
Really
maybe.
wonky. This, let's find out. So, outbound model 2330S, processor 68030. So we've got a full 030, floating point unit. We've got a floating
Oh,
point.
look at that.
This is top of the line stuff, but ROM type Macintosh Plus.
Oh, interesting. A Mac Plus
So-
ROM. So this
Yeah.
is pushing that ROM to the limit with all those the
Yeah,
FPU and everything. That's really neat.
Because we've got everything in here, and we've got 8 megs of RAM. I mean, this will have been the absolute top model that you would have been able to get of this.
Wow.
And then, obviously, if you're getting the ROMs from somewhere else, and I know there's a lot of talk in magazines at the time of like the controversy of dealers selling ROMs and stuff like that. You could definitely get hold of them, but obviously, it's much more likely going to end up with a Plus ROM than an SE
Yeah.
ROM because of them, being older. So that's basically what you get there.
And then you have what is that disk-like control panel part of
Yeah,
that, or is
so
that
we've got-
is that just a different type of a thing?
So Dislight is just a nice little neat one. I don't think that's an outbound thing. I've got that on other Macs that I've
And
got.
then we have the
but another-
Macintosh portable control panel, just because
Yeah,
that's part of
so-
the install, or
Yeah,
It's part of the System 7
System 7 was in there, so you can have automatic sleep if you want it, and it's compatible with it.
That's funny.
So there you go. That's the only part of it that shows up. And then Silicon here, this is for the Silicon drive. But it says it can't be used with it. But I'm not sure that is, but I think it might be because maybe it's addressing all RAM.
Oh, yes.
Maybe, even though it's a plus ROM, but maybe because it's got an 030.
Yeah. Huh.
Because it's got an 030, which obviously could address 8 megs of RAM. And I think an 000 can only address 4,
Yeah.
but I really don't actually know. So, yeah, I was surprised to see that last night come up. So I'm trying to get to the trackbar control panel, but I've reached the limit of the trackbar, which is like springy. You can see, can you see it sort of shuffling?
Yeah,
That's me like
just a little
springing it against, I can sort of spring it against the end of where it can go. Maybe if I pull this back, you can kind of see, and the trackbar at the moment. Can you see the cursor as well?
Yeah.
So
I see.
if I go quickly, it will get across the whole screen. But if I go slowly,
and I love the colored
run out
LED
there.
lights on the front, the power.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, that's neat.
It's fun, isn't it? So I'll go into the trackbar control, but if you look, I can actually squidge it along the side, and it keeps going. So I'm not moving. Well, it's a bit hard to show this, but like if I get to the end,
I see.
I'm not.
Yeah.
I'm not. So it's. I've hit the end, but the cursor's here.
It's not
I've hit
going to
the end,
spring
but
back like
actually,
the other one would have.
I can actually press it like almost like a button, and it keeps going. But if I let go, it goes godoink. But I can hold it there and still roll it up and down. But I would say, compared to a trackball, this is a total nightmare. So this is the trackbar control panel. So here you can do like the scaling of the trackbar. So that's basically like the acceleration of this. And this is funny because it actually is like a metal spring. Like if I scratch it, I can feel that it's all ridges.
Oh, okay.
And then here's the speed. We've got snail to rocket.
Of course, you have to have it on rocket all the time.
Yes.
They should have had a
Feel the power.
They should have had like a kangaroo on one side and like a mouse on the other or something.
Why do they not do that?
We need to res edit hack this right now.
Yeah, that is lame. They missed a trick there. So otherwise, I think it's just trackbar silicon and the notebook thing that I think are the custom control panels. I don't know if memory has anything different. So it's only got disk cache and memory because I think it's not controlling in the same way.
Okay.
And then otherwise, I think it's kind of, and this has still got a hard disk in it. I haven't SCSI to SD this. So this has got her. So the person who owned this, I have looked at their emails, from 1992,
Uh-oh.
I think. And there's like loads of stuff about office parties for people leaving and stuff like that. It's kind of brilliant.
So you have to archive this disc as soon as possible before it dies.
Yeah, I'm gonna have to. I think I have archived the disk. At least that's one of the things I'm usually good at. Is
Take
when I
advantage
acquire a
of that
machine.
SCSI doc mode.
Yeah, exactly. But yeah, it's just got like PowerPoint Uduro on that project. I think it was someone working at a software company in like Boston or somewhere.
that's cool.
I think, but I could be wrong. I'm just seeing if there's any custom extensions. I don't think there are, but we can have a quick check. I'm just going to see if there's any custom stuff in here. So yeah, all the latest dates. There's like a 1996 date in there, but most of them are like 90, 91, 92, 93, 94.
So this thing had quite a busy life.
Yeah, it definitely got used. I mean, it was at 030, like, that's good enough for quite some time. So let's check in the extensions folder. I don't think... Okay, we've got notebook extension here, which looks like it's probably something. Yeah,
okay.
So notebook extension, outbound notebook software 1.2.4, copyright 1992, outbound system. So, I mean, they were not long for this world by then.
So did this come with discs, or it was just whatever was on the hard drive? That's what it came with.
Yeah, this had no discs. I'm pretty sure you can get the software online for it.
Yeah, I did see one listing on Macintosh Garden, which is for Outbook Notebook System 1.3.1 plus the firmware.
Okay.
But the laptop I didn't see.
Yeah, the 1.3 is like, I think 1.3-ish is like the last version of the software that I've seen as well. So
and what version do you have that on this one? Is that the same?
1.2.4, I think.
So you have an earlier one.
Yeah, it's a little bit earlier. And then I've got 1.1 and 1.0 on the other outbound. So here it just says it's Macintosh Plus, but with 8 megs of RAM.
Wow.
So you don't see that every day.
No, that's really cool. Wow.
Running 701.
That is excellent.
But you'll also notice that the weirdness of what's going on here, the confusion in the system, like these numbers don't add up.
Yeah.
We've got 8 megs of RAM, only 2 megs being used by system software, but we've only got 3 left. So
because it's using that silicon drive type thing.
Maybe, I think.
Who knows?
But it doesn't seem to work. Who knows what's going on? I think it's basically everything. The OS is like, what are you running here? But yeah, I'll shut that down now because that's basically everything. There's nothing else exciting about it that I know of.
Does it sleep? Like a
yes,
okay.
you can do sleep mode. Yeah, it can do sleep and all of that stuff.
And that is quite a compact and attractive little system, I must say. That is
fun, isn't it?
Yeah. And is that PowerBrick branded outbound as well?
Oh yeah, it is. Yes. Let me show you that. Yeah. So there we've got the power supply.
Oh wow, cool.
And
does it have the voltage ratings on the back for any poor soul who doesn't have the power brick?
Yeah. So 95 to 250 volts. And the output is 22 volts DC at 1.27 amps.
Nice.
So there you go.
Thank you.
Made in the USA.
Oh, I could be proud of that then.
Yeah. Does that make your heart grow warmer?
Just slightly. Oh,
right.
Boy.
So that is all of Outbound, and I think they were a really interesting company, and I think it's really interesting that, so you can see what happened. Like the legacy of Outbound that I'm aware of is obviously those technologies going to Apple and being probably used in the PowerBooks.
Yeah.
And then the only legacy I really know of from the Dynamac, and maybe there's more, I'm sure there is the fact that, as I've said a couple of times, like Bill Goines joined Apple and ran the Macintosh LC product team.
Wow.
But otherwise, I'm not sure what happened to both those companies at all.
Yeah. It's interesting because that, it was at a time when everyone knew they were on borrowed time because Apple publicly said, we don't have a portable yet, but we're working on one. And then when the Macintosh Portable came out, I believe they were still, saying, well, we're still working on things, etc. So, Kobe, Dynamac, Outbound, they all knew they were on borrowed time, like you were saying earlier.
Yeah, totally.
And it was just, rotten luck that Outbound's best system, their best compact system came out. And they did not have too much longer before Apple's official portable came out, which just was so far cheaper because you didn't have to pay for Mac. You didn't have to pay for a Mac because you had the Macintosh ROMs in the PowerBook. So the Apple's official system was so much cheaper. Oh my goodness! So convince me not to buy a Macintosh Portable.
So, I mean, it looks cool in a kind of crazy way.
Yeah.
And there's a lot of weird, interesting things about it. Not least of which is like, there's like a video output port that they never released the adapter for.
Oh, they never did.
Yeah.
So I have.
You can find a data sheet
That's
for it.
I had the data sheet, but I never.
Yeah.
Oh wow.
Yep. The hardware never came out, but the data sheet exists.
I did not
There's
know
like
that.
a weird blanked plate there, which I can't remember if that's from internal modem or something. And then so this has provision. That's the hard disk and the floppy drive, but there is provision for 2 floppy drives there, and you can do it.
Oh, wow.
And I have seen someone with the right blanking plate for it, but I mean, like,
wow.
no. And then, so I have had. This is probably my 4th portable. I've had a bunch, and I've passed on all the rest to friends after having restored them all, and this is a backlight one, so this is the 5126, not the 5120. Just because, like, I want a backlight. The plastics, I've done lots of restoration stuff, and the plastics just crumble in your hands.
Yeah.
And it's, like, really, really bad. Like, we talk about spindle plastic, but this is it. I don't know, it's really bad. Like, there are loads and loads of, the whole thing is, like, you can unscrew it, but then most of it's kind of clipped together with loads of special clips.
Yeah.
And that's the thing that breaks, and it's kind of like a jigsaw puzzle. So once you've undone the first layer, you then can just do everything by hand, which is really cool in terms of the maintenance. But unfortunately, it means that because everything's relying on the strength and the flexibility of plastic, the plastic's old and brittle, and so all of that has gone. And so like I had to do so much gluing on them just to like keep them happy, and I basically never open that portable if I can avoid it, because I just know I'll have to be fixing it so much more. So especially like, I wouldn't get one shipped if you could avoid it. Like, if you do find one, like, you want to go and pick it up yourself.
Yeah. It's probably actually cheaper these days to get a plane ticket to pick it up rather than.
Yeah. The most fun thing I know about the portable is the expansion port stuff is weird. They've got like a PDS slot and a memory card slot and stuff, and it's all a bit weird in its own thing. And I know MacFX has made new RAM card for it, but you could get a video card for it, a very rare one called the Video Mac Pack, and it was basically a video output. And so a friend of mine found a portable with a VGA port, or whatever the Apple. The Mac one is, I can never remember, HD15 or whatever it is. And you could do video on it, and it's the like extended, desktop, the proper Macintosh way, where you can use, just, it's not just mirrored. Yeah, and my friend Andrew and Tom reverse engineered the whole thing and have made their own version, and they called it the Video Mac Pack Hack. And like I can't remember if they found the original software driver for it or whether they had to reverse engineer that as well. But I have a bare board somewhere, so I can make my own one. I just don't have any of the components yet.
So did they release what is it called again? The vintage?
Yeah. Sorry. Look, if you look on, I'm pretty sure it's documented on the 68K MLA. And it might even be on Tom Stapleton's website. If you look up T. Stapleton on Twitter, it's called the Video Mac Pack Hack is their version.
Okay.
Because it was an official thing, and I think they realized it was simple enough to copy, in reasonable time. And then I'm pretty sure that Tom played Microsoft Flight Simulator on his portable dual screen, which was kind of awesome. And just think, with the Mac yoke, or the mouse yoke, as well, how incredible an experience that would be. Got your mouse yoke strapped to your portable.
That would be hilarious. That is absolutely hilarious. But I'm glad someone reverse engineered the video out on that, because that is one of those things where I just assumed it existed because there was a data sheet for it, but I had no idea that never actually came to market.
Yeah, so it never came to market. So this hack is like kind of the only way to get video out of it. I guess you can have a SCSI. Sorry, I've run off because I'm looking at my projects to complete drawer that I think I've got one of these Video Mac Pack hack cards in. Oh, I don't know where it is. Where is it? Oh, I'm not going to find it, am I?
All right.
There's no point in me rooting around. We should get onto the next computer.
Sure.
Because there's the last one.
Yes. Now, how much memory does your portable have?
Oh, I don't know.
I was just
I'm
curious.
very unsure.
That's okay.
Because obviously, I would love to get the Mac FX 8 meg card, but I'm not sure I've really got the budget for that these days.
Yeah.
It's got at least a couple of meg, but it's like one of those things where it ran System 6, and like I kind of like to keep things in their era equivalent OS generally, to have like the most optimum experience. So like a couple of megs is basically fine for it. It's either got 2 or 4, I think. I did have a spare memory card at one point, but maybe I don't know. I've got rid of that. But why do you ask? Are you just wondering?
I was just curious.
I'll check. It would say on my database. Where's my database? Airtable. Probably would. But
What do you use for your database?
I use Airtable. And I'm cheap, so I have the free version, and so because I've got so much crap,
Oh, that's
I had
right.
to divide it.
We talked about this, I think, a little bit.
Yeah. I'm cheap.
I
I'm bad, isn't it?
I have. Well, I think we're twins because me too. But yeah, that's something I have to do with my database. I have to get something sorted.
So, my backlit Mac Portable, I've got nothing in my database about it apart from the fact that I own it. There are no notes, nothing. Sometimes I write specs in and sometimes I don't. It's really inconsistent.
No worries.
Past me is bad. Sometimes past me is good, but mostly bad.
Or past me is good, but then you think he's bad, and then you realize, oh no, that's what they did.
Yeah, you forget the weird thing that you did and never wrote down.
Yep.
I finally figured out how to make that doohickey work, and then now I've got to figure out again 5 years later. So this is the last thing. So this is you, Steve, you did loads of research into clones and how they all worked, and we've already talked about how the Dynamac was just a Macintosh Plus. They bought them all up, disassembled them, put them in basically a new case with a new CPU, with a new PCB to interface with the screen and that sort of thing, the screen, and then we talked about how Outbound basically made their own computer completely from scratch, and it just needed Macintosh ROMs to become a Mac. So this is yet another way that people approached making their own cheap portable Macintosh, or cheap but portable Macintosh, basically. So this, and it's in Bob Brand's book about how to upgrade, how you can upgrade your Mac, because there used to be lots of conversion kits, which you talked about in your video, I think, and we've talked a bit about in previous ones about like the Micromat one and that Top Hat one that you had, the LC Top Hat, and so this is another one that Bob Brand talks about. This is from a Taiwanese manufacturer called let me forget. I think it's called DTC. DTC Technology.
Oh, okay.
Here we go. There's the manual. And the manual's cover is really fun. I'll show you in a sec. And I did a bit of research. It's quite hard to find out much about them, but I think they were people from a company before that made an illegal Mac clone in Taiwan that got shut down by the Taiwanese government when Apple got annoyed. And I don't know if they ever got to market or what happened, but then they went on and made this, which is the way you get around the legal problems. So this is another one where it is a Mac board in there, there's a Macintosh board in there, but it's not a manufacturer doing the work. This is a kit you would buy. It was advertised in the back of like Mac magazines, and you would get this kit and kind of do it yourself or get a dealer to do it, basically. So here's the little manual for it. I don't know. Sorry about my light.
Okay.
Let me.
That's fine.
There we go. Is that better?
Oh, cool.
There we go. So it's called the DTC LPA 001.
Well, the name just rolls off the tongue.
Yeah, I know. What is with the name? Laptop Computer Kit User's Guide. And so you can. There's a bunch of stuff in here. So this is one of the things that is to help you do your conversion. So here. It's showing what this kit basically has. So what's inside is basically a case with a screen, and you'll see I'll show you some fun stuff on the screen. But the important thing is this thing called the converter unit.
Oh,
okay.
Cool.
So the converter unit is they give you a bunch of cables and jumpers and things, and you basically put your Mac motherboard in, and then you run all these cables from the conversion unit to the Mac motherboard.
Well, now of course you have to scan that so I can build my own.
Yes, sorry, another thing. And up here, you can see, depending on which Mac model you have, you run the cables to different places on the board
Oh, okay.
of your Mac. So here you can see that they've shown as Mac 512, Mac Plus, Mac SE, and Mac SE30. So you could use all of these in this kit. And then here it tells you which cable to run from where to where.
Wow.
And so, for example, like here,
So you got an
you
important
can-
piece of paper there, because without that,
yeah, yeah. So you can see like when it says here like pin 2 on that, that's because you're running it, I think, to the ROM chip. Maybe I think, and then yeah, you basically are interfacing all the important things. So you're running like the internal SCSI port, internal floppy drive, the internal power connector, and all this other stuff. Anyway, it's, hopefully that just makes sense. Like you're basically interfacing the kit because basically it has its own ports.
Yeah.
Right. So the Mac ports stay on the inside of it, unlike the Dynamac where the Macintosh Plus ports are on the back. The ports of the Mac stay inside, and basically there's loads of wires that are like tiny short wires that are going in between the back of the Mac and then the back of the converter case.
Wow.
And then in here, what you basically have, what this manual is not a manual of how to use it. It's a manual of how to convert your Mac. So this is.
So you would buy a kit, and it would be
Yeah.
it would be assumed that you had the logic board of your Mac, and you were willing to take it apart.
Yeah. And so here you can see inside, there's the bottom of the case. And what you've got down here, sorry, this is so small.
No, it's okay.
Here this is the conversion unit down there, which has got a bunch of hardware for running the screen and a bunch of other things. And then along the back, we've got another little PCB that's got all the ports. And then it's also got ports so you can connect the ports of your Mac into those ports, and if that makes sense. Yeah. So they're kind of routing through. And then here you can see kind of what it looks like when you've got it all sort of partially assembled, and then that's it fully assembled. And you'll also notice here a fun trick. The screen just lifts out. I don't know why, but it just does. I'll show you that in a moment. And then basically what it is it's just a manual for like, here's how to take it apart. Here's how to put in your Macintosh logic board. Here's connecting all the cables between your logic board and the ports on the back.
Wow.
And then you've got all the different variations depending on which Macintosh logic board you have. And that's all it is. It's just connecting it all together. Like you can see here inside, we've got like a whole ton of cables running just between the Mac board and the back ports.
That is
come through the case.
that is wild, because the clones were their own thing, and outbound systems were their own thing. But this is so wild. I didn't even know much about this stuff until a few months ago, and I was like, wow.
So what have I got in here? I've just got a Mac mouse that I must be the one that I used with it. I think it came with it when I bought it. I don't think there's anything else interesting in here, but I've got a power cable. So let me put those things back, and then we'll get the unit out.
Sure.
I think this is the case it came with, because it fits it nice and snugly. So I think it came with a case.
Nice. And when did you pick this up?
Really good question. Maybe like a year ago,
Oh, okay.
maybe a little bit more. On my Instagram, I document it very soon after I picked it up. I think it was like just before Christmas before last, or maybe before that, and it needed a little bit of maintenance, but mostly I was just super curious about what was inside. I think I've got some photos of me running deluxe music construction set, or whatever it's called.
That's awesome.
Yeah, on it. Which is this. I've got it just here. One of these cool electronic arts softwares that came in like a 10-inch, vinyl case.
Oh,
almost.
that's cool.
I love these. They're so cool.
That is beautiful.
Yeah, the best one, the most beautiful one, is got to be Bill Budget's pinball construction set. Which, how cool is this?
Oh, that is my aesthetic right there. That is.
And look at that.
Oh man.
He's got like white gloves on and a big pinball.
That is really cool. Oh, and you got a little insert in there. Oh man.
Yeah. And your floppy sits there.
I am buying you the best scanner I can afford.
I'm really sorry. This is why I want to do these streams, because I feel like I'm sitting on like this treasure trove of amazing stuff, and like I got it because I wanted to preserve it and because I wanted to experience it, but it feels so wrong just to sit here and not and like, especially with the pandemic, like I used to invite like friends and people I met around to like look at stuff and play with stuff, and I can't do that. So this is
well,
what we have
sharing
to do.
is caring, and we're sharing. So
Sharing is caring. So that's my favourite Care Bear. So this is a bit of a beast. Again,
wow, that looks like a cash
can't-
register.
yeah, and it's got like a kind of 70s styling to it. Something about the curves.
Wow,
But yeah, very cash register.
it looks like
But
a
let me-
folding chair.
So, and it's got. Can you see the handle?
That-
Sorry,
Wow.
I have to get this out
No, that's all right.
of the way.
That's all right.
Oh, so here we go.
Whoa,
It's got a big
that's
handle.
a weapon, not a computer.
Yeah. We've got another.
Look, if you put wheels on the bottom, it's like the pieces of luggage that you could attach the handle to.
Right. We've got like basically a PC floppy drive here on the side.
Wow.
And then the front, we've got that handle we saw. And then this side has nothing.
Wow.
And then on the back, we've got our ports. So this is a fan and power supply. So again, this is the same as like the Dynamite, the same concept. Like, it's not got a battery. It's not a laptop in any way, apart from you can take a bag and you can take it on a plane conceivably and go somewhere else, throw it in a car or whatever, use it from a motel. I don't know. But it is not. It is definitely not a laptop. So this is not, like I said, this is not the Macintosh's logic board's ports. This is their own ports, and that is important. The reason why is it's so they could allow a range of different Mac logic boards in here, because if you think the port configuration and spacing of the ports does change. Like, I think the 512 and the Plus probably. Oh yeah, the 512.
They have the bigger serial ports.
Yeah, and 512 didn't have SCSI.
Yeah.
And the Plus obviously had SCSI, and then I think they moved them around for the SE, and they have different. They don't have ADB on before the SE, and then so a bunch of stuff changes. So this is how you do that.
Wow.
You basically have your own fixed ports, and on the inside you have all your little jumper cables, depending on what motherboard you got.
That's cool.
So we've got audio, ADB, and then mouse, which is actually not ADB.
So it's a serial
port.
mouse.
Yeah. So again, that's come
Now
up.
I wonder if
forgot about that.
So let's say I don't know what
see that
I
there.
don't know what
They're
board
different.
is in there, but let's say you had a Macintosh SE board. I wonder how it could use that serial mouse through that interconnect. I guess.
Yeah.
Unless
Yeah.
maybe there was a plastic cover over one port if you had a
Yeah,
plus
I'm not
versus.
sure.
I'm just curious.
Yeah.
I'm sure.
Oh,
I'm sure it says.
Sorry, it is explained in the manual. I'd forgotten that.
Oh, okay.
Actually. Yeah. You use We'll have to find a bit in the manual. There is a bit, I remember now, there's a bit that explains why there's a mouse port separately, and I think it is something to do with the Plus thing.
Cool.
With obviously the RJ45 thing. We'll have to check. Then we've got external drive, which is basically just floppy drive, I think. External SCSI, printer, modem, and then video. And you didn't always get actual necessarily get video out on it or something. I can't remember. Sorry, I'm so rusty on this.
No,
I
it's
did
okay.
all the research like a year ago, and now it's all gone.
But that's a 9-pin.
could-
It looks like, not a VGA. No.
Yeah. But yeah, there's definitely options, because I think I might have tried to get video and realized that it didn't have this on this, because I think this is a Plus in here. We're about to find out. I'll plug it in. But first, let's open her up. Now, make sure I get the right angle here, Steve.
Oh yes, just a little further
How's
down,
that
please.
doing?
Oh, that's perfect.
There we go. So now, we've got massive latches on each side of the screen.
Oh man, look at that.
Here we go. Check it out. And like, just everything about it is beautiful. But there's this black thing here is, it's got like sticky stuff on it. I don't know if there was a label there that said something. It's quite hard to tell. But what we've got here is we've got like that kind of standard thing you saw on a lot of keyboards when they kind of have a blanking plate and there's like lights behind it. So we've got a power light, hard disk light, caps lock light. Here we've got brightness slider. That inverts the screen, that button there.
Oh, okay.
Like black, white, white, black.
Interesting.
And then we've got our contrast slider there.
That
and then,
looks like it's in beautiful shape too, James.
Yeah, it is in really good condition. And then let's do this trick.
So I assume all the connectors are in that. There's like maybe a card slot or something.
It's a wireless screen. You can just carry it around wherever you like.
The radiation
It's like an
is a bit of a side problem, but
Yeah. If you don't mind being irradiated, all good. It's like an iPad, but like bad stuff happens to your cells.
it's well worth
so
it though
there's
for portable screens.
Yeah, it's totally worth it. So you can see there's a kind of
like a cartridge slot
edge
almost,
connector in
yeah.
there. It's a crappy, yeah, it is like a cartridge edge connector thing. It's pretty crappy. And you can change the angle on that and blah, 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 blah. I think this is I can't remember, I think this is a passive matrix black and white screen. I'm not sure it's got more than one bit. So we could switch it on and see if anything happens. I can't remember if it works.
Yes, please.
I didn't test this one. I actually forgot I didn't test yesterday. I told you that 3 out of the 4 clones were working. Turns out that was a lie because I forgot I hadn't tested this one.
Will it work, folks?
Oh,
look at that.
We got a beep.
Nice. Look at that.
There's a nice thing. Let me take my headphones off. I'll be able to hear the fan.
Sure.
Yeah, we've got fan. Got all the nice hard disk noises. Do you want to hear the hard disk? Can you hear it? Can you hear that?
Just faintly, but wow.
It's got a flashing question mark floppy, and the screen is like murky as. Oh, doesn't have a. I didn't plug the mouse in.
That's right, no mouse.
I forgot that. I keep forgetting that these don't have any pointing devices on. Sorry, because it's not starting up anyway.
Yeah.
So this one works but doesn't boot. I'm gonna have to fix that. So yeah, we're not gonna find out what machine this is,
No
but
worries.
I have a strong suspicion that it's a plus in here as well. Nothing fancy.
That's really cool, though.
Oh! I'm turning it off. I can smell fish. We've definitely got bad caps in the power supply.
That's a recapping job for you.
Ooh.
I know that smell. Sorry.
Oh, it's really gross. Yeah, so this needs to go on the list of things to recap. Because it's a recent acquisition and because my life has no time in it in the last few years, things fall by the wayside. So I need to get on top of that. And I moved house like 6 months ago, which meant that basically ate all my free time.
Make sure you put a post-it on there that says "Smells like fish. Do not turn on."
Yeah. That's the only other thing that was in the. I don't know what's a mystery floppy, which I've just found.
Well, we have to figure out that mystery sometime.
Yeah, well, that can be a whole episode.
Yes.
While I find a floppy drive that actually works, and then we lubricate them all.
Oh my goodness.
So that's it. Those are all the clones.
That is an excellent collection you have there. That is fantastic, and that is the opposite of all the clones that I have, because the Macintosh clones that I have are obviously of the later era. Those are the PowerPC ones, and so it's really cool to see, the ones that weren't those. The much earlier ones in person. In person, but that's very interesting to me, because that is. Sort of what I learned years ago when I was doing the first research for that clone video that I did was, I thought, oh, okay, maybe I'll just do a little paragraph about the conversion kits and the early ones. And just diving into that history was very interesting, because a lot of those systems, there's bits and pieces of documentation out there, but it's very hard to find a cohesive, story that's like, oh, this one came out, then this one came out, this one came out, etc.
Yeah.
But it's just so interesting to see them in person. So it's very exciting that you have your hands on them, because I know I'll have questions that I could bug you about them.
Well, this is it. Sorry, I'm going to run off and grab a book,
Sure.
which I've grabbed before. But I think, it is, the history of them is so much more obscure, because they are all, aftermarket stuff that you would see in the back of a magazine and wouldn't get, necessarily, it might have got reviewed, but not so much, really. That, they're not your newer techs or whatever. I guess the Micromax stuff might have come up a bit more with people, but generally it just all seems to be bizarre stuff. There's the Micromac SE upgrade there.
Oh, that's cool.
Which is, I think that's one of the best known ones.
So basically makes your compact Mac a desktop Mac.
Yeah. But the LPA 001, like you say, great name, is in here. I think there's an entire chapter about it. There's an upgrade your Macintosh portable chapter as well. Where is the But this is the thing, I think it is just proper obscure. You're talking about the real annals of bizarro Mac history. So when I saw that come up, I think I knew what it was because I'd seen an advert in a magazine once, because hilariously I Googled it when it came up. And this picture came up, and I was like, oh, that's it. That's an advert for it. And then I realized it was my own picture that I put on the internet 4 years before or something. And I was like, oh, the only thing on the internet about it is something that I added there because I'd found it in a magazine. And then just totally coincidentally, I discovered one. I can't even remember how I came across it. Maybe it was eBay.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe. I really can't remember. But yeah, it was like it was total luck and chance of like knowing what it was when and then seeing it and being like, right, I've got to grab it. But like, how many weird conversion kits and clones, have I missed or have other people missed? Like, use that, like that one. What was the one that you found? You've got like AES or something.
Yeah,
or
the M-Power by APS.
Yeah, APS one. Like, I wouldn't like. You would just think that's just some old random PC case, right?
Yeah,
And so that's the
and
thing.
I almost left it there. And if I did not, I still geek out about this to this day. I mean, that only happened in October, but I still think about this. If I was not doing research for that clone video, I would have never seen the advertisement with that little rainbow badge. And it looks just like any other vintage PC. I mean, there was a very slim chance I might have been like, oh, let's see what ports are on this thing or whatever. But I'm just so thankful I found that little machine before it got destroyed. That was just amazing.
Yes, I'm a little bit jealous of that, but I also do have enough. I do have enough of my own crap to keep me happy.
It's okay.
Much.
I'm jealous of your
complain.
things. You're jealous of my things. We cancel each other out.
It all works out fine. So yeah, this is the wrong book for that one, but I did spot. Do you remember this? We haven't played with it yet.
What is that?
We talked about that in the first open
Oh,
talk.
that's right. The
Unmouse.
The Unmouse.
Yeah, which is kind of like a weird trackpad, but like not. But yeah, sorry, this is the wrong one. I've got it in the other one. These are both. Bob Brandt does these really fun books, but yeah, it's in Build Your Own Macintosh and Save a Bundle, not Upgrade Your Macintosh and Save a Bundle.
Yeah, and I think that one's actually archived online, thankfully. So
yes.
you don't have to scan that. Don't worry.
Definitely not scanning books. Oh my god!
You're going to teach your kid to scan some books.
That would be useful, actually. Well, that's an interesting, tempting idea. Yeah, let me find. There's the Micromac again. I mean, let's find this. There it is. So there you go. And they've got it set up with a nice trackball there, which I think I have that trackball. Yes, I do.
Oh, that's cool. So that is. Oh, sorry. I'm trying to get your full screen without. No,
that's fine.
Without an image in the way. 1 second. There we go.
Let me raise that up.
There you go. Very cool. Very cool.
So yeah, and like he talks about like all bunch of stuff, but there's a bit of history here like that actually tells you about it. He points people at it. They advertise their kit as a laptop. This kit weighs in at about 16 pounds when you're through assembling it and have the hard drive installed. Unlike the original Apple Macintosh Portable, contains no battery. You have to plug it into AC power. This limit notwithstanding, you get a highly readable 512 by 348 backlit LCD screen. Blah blah blah. Oh yeah, and so that's it. People starting with a Mac SE. This is why I know that it's not an SE or SE30 in there. Because if you had an SE or SE30 logic board, you could also get a 10-inch 640 by 480 display onto the LCD screen. So actually, you can see when the screen starts up on this computer that it's got way more screen resolution, but I can't access it. So I guess I could swap out with an SE, and presumably I probably need an extension as well, maybe a bit like that Dynamac one to get the whole thing. But yeah, you need an additional card as well. That's it. You did need an additional card. So yeah, but yeah, so it's kind of swings and roundabouts with all this stuff. But he then this whole chapter, there's a whole mini chapter here about like basically he runs through the steps of like the installation, even though they supply the manuals as well. And again, you can see like this is what it looks like inside. You can see like
there's that extra board.
There's the Mac, and you can see the Macintosh motherboard there.
Wow.
And then we've got the conversion board there, and then we've got the ports board there.
That is excellent.
How clear that is.
It's great that that's documented.
This is such a great book.
Yeah.
By the way, read this book.
I'm only a little
you will
bit
not
jealous.
be sorry. It's a great book. Over 25,000 copies sold. There must be some on ABE Books, or however you say it.
Yeah. Thankfully, I think that one's archived, so that's one less piece of dead tree.
Hopefully,
in my
both
house.
books. So yeah, that's all of them, and they're all just a load of old junk. And I don't know why I've got them all, but they are fun to play with now and again.
See, you think they're junk, and I know you don't really think they're junk, but they are such an interesting piece of history, because at that point Apple didn't have a portable, and again, there were no PowerBooks, there was no Macintosh portable, so like, those inventions were things by these people and by these companies that were just like, I want one of these, somebody else would want one of these, and they put them out there, and it is so unlike anything that would happen today, because it's just, there would be no way that any of these companies would let that happen. I mean, yeah, you could slap a Mac Mini in an iMac or whatever and call it something different, but
I guess the closest anyone got was the Axion Modbook, wasn't it? Which is, that's probably the last example of something like this that I can think of.
Yeah, and I think they even had some legal issues, but it was essentially, hey, look, we're buying an Apple thing, we're just shoving it in a case, It
was exactly like the Dynamac thing, where they bought up inventory and then stripped it down again. But yeah, that's the last sort of time I think that was probably possible. I think it's just things have gone too far now, and I think there's a whole bunch of reasons why that's so difficult. But like, Raspberry Pis are dirt cheap and really powerful.
Yeah.
And everyone's going crazy with stuff there, and I think that's where that stuff happens now.
Yeah,
and I don't think it's happening with your standard computers.
Yeah, and but those are, I mean, that's a perfect comparison, because those machines is where all the hobbyist is right now. The Arduinos, the Pis, all that stuff. That's where people are tinkering with. That's where, and those are great systems. I have so many Raspberry Pis, I forget where I put them all. But I put one in and I make it a webcam or something, and that's sitting up over there or whatever. But yeah, it's so cool to see this system. So I really appreciate you sharing with us those systems, James, because they are so hard to find, and you have some in such excellent condition. And I hope that we'll get you recapping those.
I need to do further restoration. Everyone in the chat, and I'm watching, I will finish restoring them, I promise. My life has been somewhat chaotic the last year, but I'm now settled again, and it's going to be...
He's a bit busy.
They're going to go on the to-do list. Yeah, a little bit busy. But, we don't need to go into that, do we? There's a lot going on. But I think... I'd love to have a chance for us to chat again during Macintosh and get into the official license clones, of which I have one down here hidden in the corner.
Yeah.
I've got my Radius 81110 or System 100, depending on.
Oh, nice.
I'm not sure which it is. They're kind of the same machine. They're basically a Power Mac 8100.
Yeah.
So I've got that down there. They're built like a tank. It's like a metal box, but the front just falls off, just flops off.
I think Dana in the chat has one of those Radius models.
Oh, nice.
Yeah.
They're great. I just love they're not great, but I love the industrial design.
There's aspects of them that are great. There's
some Limitax aspects, and then like you, I've got a nice boxed license clone. I've got my Emacs Pulsar, which was the clone that I owned when I was younger, like during that time. So I have like strong nostalgia for it was when everything about Apple and Macs was sort of going down the drain. But I love that machine, the Emacs Pulsar. Like it was much cheaper than anything Apple had and much faster. It was so good. I think I think I've got like the 250 megahertz 604E, and it's like that was blazing fast then. And of course you've got your box power computing one, and I sort of always had like a thing, even though their cases are like kind of just look like a Dell case, I still found something like alluring. I don't know what it is. There's something really like beefy, like I don't know. There's some power in there. I think have you got the first series with the 601 in it?
I think mine is the second or third generation, because it's a 603. I think it's a 180 megahertz. I think it's a 603E maybe. And
really, the power computing one?
Yeah, because it's a Power Center Pro. What's very interesting is that the case. It's a very low profile case, but they use that name in their bigger towers as well. So this was just like...
That's what confused me about you saying that, because I thought I associated the name with the 604.
Yeah, and I think that this was it's very hard to find the exact time frame of all the models and everything, as you may know. But with this one, it's a very slim profile, so it only has it has no expandable bays. So you have your optical drive, your floppy drive, and your hard disk bay, and it has it has three PCI card slots. So there's a SCSI card built in. Then there's a blank slot, and then another blank slot. So it's a very thin machine, and I love it because when I had it set up on the desk here, which I'll have to put it back here soon, there's this much clearance on this shelf I have on this desk, and it fits under there with room to spare. So that because I was originally going to put like the 4400 or something here, which is an equally weird system, but that one just fit right under there, and it's a Power PC in the form factor of like a small PC desktop, and it's pretty fantastic. I mean, it has great SCSI capabilities and everything. I haven't really had too much trouble. I left it on 761, which is what it's shipped with. But I want to play around with that more. I mean, I got it. The hard drive was dead, but everything else, it came with a bunch of goodies.
7.6.
There you go. So, wait, do that again so we get your full screen.
Ooh. Oh yeah.
That's not going to come back to haunt you in an animated GIF format at all. But
which OS version would you like? They're all here behind me.
You want some software? Yeah.
So, and then you've got your UMAX APAs as well, and hopefully you should have a mouse soon.
Yes, we'll talk a bit about more, I guess.
I haven't sent you the tracking, I realised. I need to send you the tracking.
Yeah, so James found a mouse, which here, I'll put you full screen so I can get up and grab something. But
okay, cool.
You talk about the mouse a little bit.
Oh yeah, no. So I mean, I found Steve a mouse on UK eBay, a UMAX mouse, and like I don't know how many of you are aware of like the clone era, but like basically all the clone manufacturers bought all their accessories, keyboards and mice off Mac Ally, so that everyone's mice were all the same. There's all this like crappy cheap mouse. So the only difference between any of them is what's printed on them. Yep. And so so basically, Steve, you can see there, Steve's showing there's a Mac Ally one with nothing printed on it, and there's a Super Mac one with the Super Mac logo on, and I'm sending Steve the exact same mouse, but it's got UMAX logo printed on it. So obviously, it's super special.
Of course, and then I have a Japanese keyboard that says UMAX on it. So it's going to go perfectly with that. Yeah. And I have, just like this one, as James was saying, they just have silk screened logos on them, or printed logos or whatever it is. I have one that came with the power computing machine, so it says power computing on it. So
nice.
I'll have to do a clone accessory beauty shot on this desk for my video.
No, totally. I think my UMAX has the mouse and keyboard, but then I realized, I was like thinking, wait a second, I just posted Steve a UMAX mouse. What if I don't have a UMAX mouse? But on clone mice, I've got my most fun thing that came recently.
Oh yeah.
Or second most fun thing that came recently, because I got two fun things, but we'll share the other one at a later date. But seeing as we're talking about clones, and I don't have this clone to show, so this is kind of like a teaser for our next clone chat. This is, so everyone recognizes this mouse, right?
Oh yes.
We all recognize this mouse, don't we? It's just your normal Apple Desktop Bus 2 mouse.
Very expensive mouse.
Yeah, so your normal mouse, but check that out. It hasn't got an Apple logo embossed in it. It's got a Pioneer logo embossed in it.
That's not a sticker. That is in the plastic.
Yeah, that's probably in it. And on the bottom says Pioneer. Wow. There's no mention of Apple at all, but that is definitely, like, we all recognize this mouse, right? And that is because in Japan, exclusively, Pioneer had a license for their clones, and they made a bizarre series of clones that all kind of look the same from the front, but actually a whole range of different Macs inside. They've got an 0401, they've got one that's basically a Power Mac 6100, and then a couple of 603 ones, I think. And then they gave up. I think they were going to do a G3, but I'm not sure. They definitely showed a Macworld Japan, like a tower of some kind, but they never made it. They got out then. But this cost me, I think, £1 on Yahoo Japan, and then Bai had a deal on shipping, so I got free shipping. So this was cost me like £1, so I was pretty pleased about that.
And that is the absurd opposite of the Pioneer branded Sega gamepad that I have. That was stupid expensive, and so you got an excellent deal on that.
That's quite cool. Oh, Apple Museum Poland says, or Polska, sorry, says he has the keyboard coming. Oh, brilliant! You bought the keyboard.
Oh,
wow.
I
think I pointed out to them that the keyboard was on. So the keyboard. So yeah, they're from the, as he points out, the keyboard's the same there. And I almost bought the keyboard too, and but I sort of felt like fine. Like if I get one, I get one. Like I didn't want to sit around bidding for something. But the keyboard it's sort of less neat in the it's definitely the Apple design keyboard, and then over the Apple logo, they basically just stuck a sticker
Ah,
that says Pioneer on
I
it.
could do that
And
myself.
I don't know, yeah. And I think there might be a couple of other changes to hide the Appleness, like they probably changed the logo, but there's something just so cool about the plastic being embossed in, but it's still cool. And then there's a second gen mouse that isn't an Apple design at all, and it's ADB Pioneer mouse. And there's a second gen keyboard,
Wow.
which is probably like a Philco or a Mac Ally Pioneer keyboard, like all the other clones. But the first lot, it was all Apple molds and
Well,
yeah,
it's
tooling.
interesting because you're talking about the mice that ship with clones, and a lot of them use the Mac Alley ones. But I'll tell you which one of them didn't, and that was the APS mPower. There's the original hard drive is on that system. I have to archive that. See, now I have to do something, and that actually says in the documentation, your computer ships with a PS2 two-button mouse. Because that was a clone it was a sub-licensee of Motorola's, so their logic board had the PS2 ports on it, and so it actually shipped with a PS2 mouse. And I would have loved to know what that looked like, because it probably, I don't know if it was branded, if it was just probably some generic garbage, but I'd love to look at that.
Yeah, I totally forgot until I think it was your video. I'd completely forgotten that all the Motorola boards had the PS2 port as well. To obviously, like, because that was where everything was going. They were just making everything dirt cheap by those volumes in the IBM compatible industry.
Yeah.
Meant that you used IDE, you used like ISA PCI slots.
Yep.
And you used PS2, and you basically, it meant you could just buy from the cheapest manufacturers, and you didn't have to have this custom stuff for this tiny market.
Yeah.
It made total sense. So
yeah, that we have a lot to talk about in the next video for Marcintosh, whether we do clones or scanning or a bit of both. I think we have a lot to chat about. So. Oh, that's excellent. But it's been a pleasure having you. I don't want to eat up too much of your time because we've been going for, my goodness, how long have we been going here? Been going for over 3 hours here. So thank you very much, James. I know.
It's not hard, is it?
No, it's not. It's not. And we were going for a good 20 minutes or so before this. So, my goodness. But I sincerely appreciate you coming on. What you have to show is excellent, and the things that you are sharing with the Macintosh community is just beautiful. So I really do appreciate you sharing your goodies to the world, because this is something that obviously there's a limited amount of these. Not all of us have the budget or the resources to acquire these, or the space for that matter. So I could live vicariously through you and vice versa. So I think it's healthy.
Always
it's very
welcome.
healthy, right?
Yeah. We buy less crap because each other has it.
We certainly don't encourage others to buy crap. You know,
I would never do.
I don't
do
send James links, and he doesn't send me links, or vice versa. It's very controlled.
There's talking of which, your mouse is coming with some free goodies.
And I will cut off this
some extra
video
things.
right before you said that, so my wife doesn't know. Well, thank you, James. It's very exciting to hear.
Thanks for having me on.
I have to send you some, because I have that HyperCard thing we could unbox one day, because I'd like to send that your way, because you're Mr. HyperCard. So
Please. Oh, I certainly am.
So maybe
Certainly
I put that. Yeah, it's on the shelf over there. So maybe, because it is like a HyperCard training thing, but it feels like there's a floppy in there. So I wanna if it's okay, I'll slip it open carefully, and we can see what's inside. But I could send that your way as a thank you for finding me the mouse, and
of course,
and all
Steve,
that.
absolutely fine. Whatever you need to do.
You're just like, as long as I get it, it's fine. Just send it.
Yeah.
Well,
No, I don't have to have everything.
No,
but
and that's a healthy attitude. You don't have to have
just
everything.
most stuff. Sorry, I'm just kidding.
Oh, I love it. Well, thank you so much, James. I'll let you go. Take care. And I have some housekeeping things. I'll wrap up the show. But I appreciate it.
Thanks
Thank you so
again.
much.
I'll see you soon.
Thank you. Thank you.
Okay, man. Bye.
Bye. All right. So that was James. I'm so very thankful to have him on the show. We had so much cool things to talk about. If you missed this, or you hopped on just in the middle of it, don't worry. We will be, this is recorded, it's live, so it'll be there for you to see. I just want to give a shout out to one thing. It's a project that I am involved in this year, and if I could get the thingy here, because of course the guest leaves and now I don't know what I'm doing. And let's see, here's a web browser. That's what I wanted. So I want to show you a page here. That is from, oh no, that's the wrong thing. I need a window capture. There we go. All right, so let me fix this. Keep chatting off in the chat here. I'm just getting things ready here. All right, there we go. So here we go. We have a very cool event that is coming up, and this is something that I've been involved in for a while. So yeah, now James has his hands back, so you can ask him all the questions. So the Trenton Computer Festival is the longest running and the first computer fair in the world. Just let that settle in. And uniquely, it's located in New Jersey. That's right. So I've had the pleasure to actually attend this event in person before it went virtual. And this is something that I was always so excited to go. Now, it is very PC oriented, but that had an advantage because a lot of the goodies that I picked up over the years was at a flea market, because they used to have a huge flea market. Unfortunately, that's not the case with everything being virtual this year. And over the years, it has dwindled into a much smaller thing. But what's really cool about this is that because of the flea market aspect back in the day, I got a bunch of Mac stuff cheap because everything was PC oriented. So the reason I'm bringing this up is the Trenton Computer Festival is going virtual this year. It happens in 6 days, and it's free, 100% free. There's a bunch of different talks here. There's different talks about, different technologies. There's ham radio stuff here. There's stuff about space. There's a bunch of other goodies here. I am actually presenting a talk. That is me right there, collecting, restoring, and saving computer history. So I am on track 5 at approximately 11:20 a.m. So it is a packed schedule. Everything will be recorded at some point, or in some format, I'd rather say. So the idea was, of course, at these shows, there's a lot of different events and blah, blah, blah. But this used to be spread out over 2 days, and now it's just a one-day show. So go to tcf-nj.org. That is going to be the website for this. And let me try and move around the page here a little bit. There we go. So you can see a bit more of that. So I will be presenting that, but what I would like to tell everybody is this is a free event, 100% free. It's virtual here. They do accept donations, which is very kind, because this is not free to run. You have a bunch of awesome speakers to come here. There's an artificial intelligence thing here. There's a program book you could download. That's one of the main talks that's going on here. And so just go to the website here. There is the Zoom app that you will have to use for this, so make sure that's updated. It doesn't have all the security bits that people were scared about before, but there is a way to download the program here, and there's the all the information about the page here. So once this is going live, you'll see all the links and everything on this page. But I just wanted to give a quick little talk about that, because that is something that is very close to me. And something that I've been actually helping them out since last year. I was going to attend their event, but it has been postponed because of the pandemic and everything. So this was supposed to happen in March, but now it's happening this year. So this is the 45th event. It's been going on for 45 years. Thank you, Trina, for putting the link in there. But yeah, so look forward to that. That's what I'll be doing next weekend. So I won't be doing an OpenTalk episode then. That's what I'll be focusing on. That's what I'll be doing. So I am attending virtually, and so I am presenting virtually. So that is what they're doing. And it's going to be very exciting. There's a bunch of different talks there, and I'll see if I could secure a recording of my talk there, so if anybody misses it. But feel free to go to the website. I'm sure there's going to be details about registering and everything on there. It is free, but I'm sure there's a way to get that link and everything. And I'll post it on my Twitter and my Instagram and all that stuff. But it's only 6 days away, which is kind of exciting. So very exciting to share that news. And I'm working on a few videos for Marchintosh. There's some very cool things that I'm trying to get to work, but I haven't gotten to work yet. And so that's about it. Just wrapping this up here. So thank you so much for joining. Thank you again to our guest, James, for providing us with all those visuals and those eye candy. And oh my goodness, what a collection he has. And we'll be sure to look at some more Macintosh clone things soon. Especially maybe have a scanning party. That'll be fun. But thank you everybody for joining. I'm very thankful for the warm reception. We've had about 30 plus viewers this whole time, so that's excellent. And yeah, that's about all I have to say. So thank you so much for watching. Take care, guys, and I will catch you all later on. Take care.